Bush is awarded more than $7 million as the title sponsor of NASCAR's Pole Award program. Now the Walmart starting grid for tonight's Sharpie 500. Jeff Green and Mike Skinner making it an all Richard Childress Racing front row. First front row qualifying for Skinner since last year's California race. Ron Hornaday's best ever Winston Cup qualifying puts him in row 2 with the most recent Bristol winner, Elliott Sadler. Title contenders Ricky Rudd and Jeff Gordon share row number 3. Gordon 4 Bristol wins, but none at night. And the third player in the title chase is right behind him in row 4. Dale Jarrett, the 97 winner of this race, but Kevin Harvick won the Busch Series race here last night. Rusty Wallace and Todd Bodine in row 5. Rusty, a 9-time winner here at Bristol.
On the inside of row 6 is Kenny Schrader. Finished third the first concrete race here. On the outside, Jerry Nadeau. Back in row 7. Jeffrey Bodine is back in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, driving his brother Brent's car. Ward Burton on the outside. In row 8, Bobby Hamilton and Bobby Labonte, last year's Winston Cup champion. On the inside of row 9, Sterling Marlin, the winner last week in Michigan, and Tony Stewart. In row 10, on the inside, Robert Presley and Brett Bodine on the outside.
Row number 11, Terry Labonte and Jeff Burton with differing fortunes in qualifying because Terry got the last front stretch pit stall. Burton and everybody else in the field had to go to the back. There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the outside of row 12. His best Bristol finish is a 21st. Kevin LePage and Kurt Busch back in row 13. Kurt's only finish here at Bristol was a 42nd in March. Mike Wallace and Dave Blaney in row 14. Blaney from 41st to 6th place last week at Michigan. Johnny Benson finished second in the race here in the spring of 2000 from the back pits. He's got to come from there tonight along with Jeremy Mayfield. Mark Martin, a third place last August, his 15th Bristol top 5, and Rick Mast makes his 350th Winston Cup start. A couple of rookie drivers sharing row 17. It's Andy Houston in one of his final rides in this car. Casey Atwood, whose 21st birthday is today. The 1988 Bristol winner, Bill Elliott, is back in row 18, along with Buckshot Jones, the last car to qualify on time. Now those who got in on a provisional. Steve Park has finished in the top 10 his last 3 Bristol races. He has a very fast race car after yesterday's final practice. He's got to come from row 19. Ricky Craven and Michael Waltrip in row 20. And the final 3 starters, Joe Nemechek, John Andretti, and Jason Leffler. Six drivers attempted to qualify for the race, but were unable to be in the field. There you see the list. Kyle Petty, Hut Strickland, Stacy Compton, the drivers who've been running every race on the series this year. That hurts. Now some storylines will follow through the Sharpie 500. Remember I talked about what the preacher's lesson was tonight at the chapel service for the drivers?
Temper, temper. We'll see plenty of that, I'll guarantee it. And you can't not see it here at Bristol. It's tight, close racing. You're going to have the drivers are going to be mad at each other. The teams are going to be mad at each other. Everybody's going to be mad at. Hopefully we won't be mad at each other, VP.
Hopefully not, Wally. And pit strategy. Folks, Elliott Sadler here ran 162 laps in the spring, stayed on the racetrack, and did not go in the pits. We may see some of that again tonight.
Points peril. Ricky Rudd talked about it when we spoke with him earlier. This race in Talladega, perhaps the 2 biggest wild cards left for Jeff Gordon, where he could lose a chunk of points because of something out of his control. Could happen tonight. 150,000 fans are on their feet. The pace cars on pit road. We are delighted you're with us for the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. Jeff Green leads lap 1. Ricky Craven had some trouble getting up to speed. He's going now at the back of the field. Elliott Sadler and Ron Hornaday racing for 3rd. Everything happens quickly here at Bristol, including getting to lap 3. Hornaday kind of getting shuffled back in that outside lane.
Yeah, there you see the 14's hung up there, and it's hard to get down that bottom lane. Right now, he's screaming at a spotter, find me a line down so I can get in a hole down at the bottom of that racetrack. He's about to lose a lot of spots if he doesn't get that car down.
Looks like he's going to be able to get down the bottom of the racetrack right in front of Rusty Wallace.
It's going to put him back in the 8th position. He started 3rd.
And we talk about drivers and teams that really don't like to come to Bristol. I think Rusty Wallace and his team are some people that do, in fact, like to come to Bristol.
Wallace running in 9th. Just ahead of Todd Bodine, who's in 10th. Ricky Rudd pressing Jeff Gordon. This is 4th place.
Rudd is right there, but he wants, every time Jeff Gordon looks in the rearview mirror, not to be able to see anything but the windshield. This time, Gordon goes up the racetrack and says, okay, Ricky, I get the point. I'll let you go.
Made possible by the fact that they had a gap behind him back to Kevin Harvick. If there were a line of cars there, Gordon never could have let him go.
That's right, but he decided when he knew there was a gap back there, the wisest thing he could do would be let Ricky Rudd go.
Kevin Harvick running 6th, winner of the NASCAR Busch Series race here last night. Dominated much of the spring race here at Bristol, but fell victim to a flat tire in the late going. It sent him way back in the field at the finish. This is Johnny Benson and Casey Atwood working underneath Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace gets a great run off the corner, takes his spot away. Meanwhile, Casey Atwood on the inside of Benson. Battle back about the 30th position.
Like a little bit loose there. Good recovery, though. That's all it's going to take if a car slips up the racetrack a little bit for everybody to just train on by.
So you got to run this time. Trouble, turn 2. Buckshot Jones. Caution's out. The last 2 races here at Bristol have featured 13 different caution periods. The first of them tonight has just happened at lap number 13 as Buckshot Jones got spun around in turn number 2. Turn number 2.
Going down to turn 1, we'll see Buckshot come in the corner. He's going to get some help from Jason Lepler. And around goes Buckshot, and fortunately, all the leaders were right behind them, but fortunately, it was a one-car incident.
That won't be the last time we use that phrase tonight.
No.
Got some help.
Got some help.
Only a couple of cars pitted over on the backstretch. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was one of them, Matt.
Alan, and it was not for pit strategy. It was because Dale Earnhardt Jr. radioed in 3 laps before that caution, said, loose, 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 wedge, wedge, wedge. I need it bad. I am going to the back. So when the caution came out, it came in and tightened him up. They made a track bar adjustment. 2 rounds down and a slight air pressure adjustment for Dale Earnhardt Jr. They also pulled out the right rear fender. Bill Snyder, the tire carrier, pulled it out. He has some slight cosmetic damage to Marty Snyder.
And a potential problem for Tony Stewart, Matt, already in the race. He is radioing to his team that he has a little bit of a brake problem. Now, the team has had a brake issue the entire weekend, but he says when he pushes the pedal, it feels like the brakes are grinding. They were going to come down pit road, but way too early to lose that much track position, so they're going to leave him out, see if he can live with a brake problem.
Cars who pitted: Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ricky Craven, Johnny Benson, and Kurt Busch. Those are the only 4 that made stops under this caution flag. And we are coming to the restart now as the field works its way through turn 4. Jeff Green, Mike Skinner, Elliott Sadler, Ricky Rudd, and Jeff Gordon, the top 5.
Green, green, green.
Rudd and Gordon racing for 4th, 5th. Harvick back in 6th, right behind them.
And Kurt Busch just left the backstretch pits. He's back on the speedway, but he's now a couple laps down for an unscheduled pit stop.
Oh, hang on there, Happy.
On board with Kevin Harvick as he tries to chase down Jeff Gordon, Ricky Rudd.
More troubles for Kurt Busch. He's on the apron of the track. Matt, what's going on?
And he came in, made a stop because his transmission was stuck in 2nd gear.
Brett Bodine has crashed in turn 4. Caution's out, field's stacking up.
And the 27 car has a lot of smoke from behind it. Rick Mast.
Bodine was running in 18th place. And he has gone a lap down. Second caution of the Sharpie 500 at Bristol at lap 24. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. NASCAR on TNT from Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee, and already under the second caution. Came out at lap 24 when Brett Bodine got spun around up in 3 and 4.
Looks like he might have got tapped a little bit there, BP, from the 40.
I don't know. I thought there was a big gap in there, but maybe you were right. Maybe
I vote for the tap.
vote for the tap. And there was contact. Is that our phrase for the night? He got some help.
Yeah, got some help. That's the phrase.
Yes.
And you see Rick Mast got collected by Jason Leffler. Watch Mast, see right there, top right. Mast car then smoking heavily. He went to pit road. Matt Kenseth, John Andretti, Johnny Benson also pitted. Well, let's see.
Wow,
Oh, yeah.
say there's a little help.
Oh,
Guilty.
yeah.
Guilty is charged.
Very definitely going in the corner.
Go, go, go. Caution.
Mark Martin. We're looking on the rear bumper of Mark Martin's car as he gets tapped by the 12.
And there's the contact there between Leffler and Mast.
Man, there's a lot of pieces coming off that 01.
Marty?
Yeah, and you guys are exactly right. Mike Hillman, the crew chief for Brett Bodine. Very animated conversation with Tony Glover, the team manager for Sterling Marlin. Almost came to shoving, and I would watch out if these two get near each other later in the evening. To Matt Yoakum.
The early trouble for Kurt Busch. His transmission was stuck in 2nd. They brought the car in. They got the linkage to let loose, and now the transmission's fine. But look at the big break he caught here. This was his left front tire. You can see how the fender was cutting in. They pulled the fender away, and now the car's fine.
Green flag.
Oh, Ricky Rudd got a tough break. Being caught on the outside of the 11 car, Brett Bodine.
Oh, trouble behind him. Jerry Nadeau got pinched in turn 4. He's gone around.
And no caution flag this time.
Not yet. Away they go. Nadeau tried to get into 4 underneath Todd Bodine, and Todd closed the door. So Brett Bodine is now a lap down in 39th position. Buckshot Jones in the 44. You'll see him in the mix of the crowd. He's also a lap down. He's in 40th. Kurt Busch is 2 laps down in 41st. Rick Mast and Jason Leffler have both gone behind the wall. That's a shame for Brett. They had a lot of high hopes for tonight's race. Talking with Mike Hillman this afternoon as crew chief, and our aerial views at Bristol, courtesy of the United States Army, an Army of one.
Brett Bodine right now, the 11 car is running on adrenaline and anger. I mean, he's hot, and he's going to show these guys that he had a race car that could run up front. He said, look at this. I'm in front of Ricky Rudd, and he can't even catch me.
Well, let's talk about, you're behind the wheel, you've been hit, you've been spun around. Your spotter and your crew chief are both saying, calm down, calm down.
Well, BP is right. He is mad, and all he's doing right now is looking for that 40 car. If he can get back to that 40 car, he'll probably let him know how he feels about it. But that's just typical of this place. It is so tight. If a guy checks up in front of you a little bit, if you don't hit him, you're probably going to get hit. It's just a big chain reaction here when you got everybody on the racetrack running right now.
That's a passing flag. You saw the starter waving. Warning the lap cars that there are lead lap machines around them. They need to give way.
Now Brett Bodine, after a couple of laps, Rusty Wallace finally gets on the underneath of Ron Hornaday, takes a spot away. Todd Bodine follows. Here comes Ward Burton.
Hornaday was 8th. He's going to be 11th, maybe 12th by the time he gets back in line.
I mean, in just 1 or 2 corners, you can lose 4 or 5 spots that easy.
Now Rusty working on the lap car of Kurt Busch.
Your car's got to work around the bottom of the racetrack. I keep saying that, but the only way you're going to win a race at Bristol is if you can stay down on the bottom, almost to where that asphalt there meets the concrete. You got to be able to run there. So when the guy in front of you moves up the racetrack, if he's running just 3 or 4 feet higher than that line, you'll be able to sneak your nose underneath him, pull up beside him going down the straightaway. Once he's on the outside, that's it. He's in trouble. It's your corner.
Watching Ron Hornaday, the 11th place car, try and deal with the lap machine. You've got Hornaday in 11th, Bobby Hamilton in 12th. The yellow car is Ken Schrader in 13th. Right behind them is Jeffrey Bodine in 14th, and that is a change for 9th. Ward Burton by Todd Bodine. Ward started in 14th, so he's picked up 5 spots.
See Kurt Busch out there a couple laps in. We talked about his transmission trouble, and it couldn't happen at a worse time for Kurt Busch. After all, his sponsor, Sharpie, the sponsor of the race, so you know that they wanted to do well tonight, if not win the race for their sponsor.
How about the bumper on the back of Robert Presley's car?
Well, somebody has run in the back of Robert Presley and broken the rear bumper, and it's okay as long as they don't break the other side off and starts dragging. Then he probably will get black flag for it.
And that probably happened on one of those incidents a little bit earlier on the chain reaction deal.
Maybe when Brett Bodine spun over there?
Yeah, I believe it did.
Little jam up back in traffic as Dale Jr. tries to pick his way through. This is 29th place. Mike Wallace in 29th. Jr. in 30th.
Well, Jr. got a great run that time on the bottom of 3 and 4, dove to the inside of Mike Wallace.
Remember, Junior's got fresher tires on. He stopped under that caution a little bit ago. Steve Park back in 27th place. Matt?
Alan, the concern down here in the park pit is not about lap traffic or muscling his way through traffic. It's about radio communications. Apparently, Steve is having trouble with his radio. He cannot hear his crew chief, Paul Andrews, so they're having to relay messages through their spotter, Stevie Reeves, the open-wheel ace from Indiana. Currently, he says the car is a little bit warm. Water is 230, but the biggest concern is the radio communication. And Wally Dolmack, as you know, Bristol's a tough place where you've got to have a lot of communication to try to dial your race car in throughout 500 laps here.
Yeah, it really is. And I'll tell you another thing is that it's hard to hear your crew even when they're talking to you because they're listening to all that noise outside the racetrack, and everybody's having a hard time hearing. So really a tough deal. And you really need to stay on top, especially this time of the race. You need to make that important adjustment right now. When you come to that first pit stop, it's real important to get the car dialed.
Jeff Green, the leader, in some heavy lap traffic. Jeff Gordon, Ricky Rudd, the other top 5 trying to pick their way through as well. You talk about going from the frying pan into the fire. Bristol to Darlington. The tough old lady in black, track too tough to tame, whatever you want to call it. It's the Southern 500. Next Sunday, you'll see it on TNT.
And Jeff Green, Mike Skinner, Elliott Sadler, they are in heavy, heavy traffic. Although Jeff Green, the leader, has cleared most of it, has worked clear of most of the traffic. As you can see, he's in clean racetrack.
He has just put Johnny Benson a lap down, the 35th place car. Mike Wallace has also gone a lap down. Joe Nemechek, Jerry Nadeau. Those cars all just overtaken by leader Jeff Green. And let's also mention that Rick Mast is back on track after time behind the wall. He's 31 laps down in 42nd place.
But I tell you, as Jeff Green was working his way through that traffic, A couple of times it was very, very close. He would try to go on the inside of someone. They would come down the hill.
Jeff Green in tonight's race, which is in its very young stages, has already led more laps than he has in his entire NASCAR Winston Cup career to date. He'd only led 15 laps before. He's led 62 tonight, now make it 63.
And all of a sudden, Johnny Benson is coming back up and is trying to repass the leader, Jeff Green. So right now, the 30 car is not exactly what he wants.
Fresher tires for Johnny. He was on pit road under that last caution at lap 25.
And Jeff Green at Clean Racetrack is about 3 or 4 miles per hour slower now than he was just 30 laps ago.
Well, Johnny knows he's got to stay in sight. He's got to, if he can't pass the 30 car, Jeff Green, he's got to stay as close as possible, because if the yellow does come out, the only chance he's going to get is getting by the 30 car before he gets back to the line, taking the yellow to get his lap back. Now here, Jeff said, hey, I want you off my bumper, go ahead.
And so Benson gets back on the lead lap. 35th place car speeds at the line.
And that's actually a pretty smart move on Jeff's point. This way he's got him out of his rearview mirror. Just let him go.
You saw the laps that Green was having to mess with Benson. Skinner was clicking off faster speeds and was coming through. There's Dale Jr. on fresher tires than Jeff Burton, moving through him.
Michael Walter, the Napa car, going by Jeff Burton. All this is back for about the 30th position.
And they better get going. Guess who's coming in the rearview mirror? The leader.
And Buckshot Jones is spun down the front straightaway.
Caution.
That was close.
Third caution of the Sharpie 500 is out. Lap number 69. Pit stops here for the leaders, I would think.
Yep, I bet they come in now.
Yeah. And now it'll be interesting to see what Benson does, since he's got the fresher tires, if he stays out for the track position. We'll cover the pit stops when we come back to Bristol in a moment. Jeff Green's the leader. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Back at Bristol, pit stops in the Sharpie 500 for the leaders, but a couple of guys have stayed on track to pick up the top 2 spots. Ricky Craven and Johnny Benson did not stop, and they are now first and second. We said Benson would probably roll the dice, or I said that. Come on, BP, one for me.
Yes, Alan, you did very good.
Here's how it happened on pit road.
All right, this is the front stretch pits. See, Jeff Green moves. He's out in front of Ricky Rudd. Here comes Rusty Wallace. Great stop by his guys. Now, this normally would be how they line up, how they cross that white line. That's not the case at Bristol. They've got to accelerate down the backstretch, and the line that decides how they restart the race is in turn 3.
In order to blend the cars from the backstretch pit road in. There's the line right there, the yellow stripe across the track. This one? All the way up, yep. That's the pit road blend line to catch the cars from the front and back pits.
And we talk about what a disadvantage it is on the backstretch. In this particular case, that was not the case, because Steve Park right now is in 6th place. He stopped on the backstretch. He was running 22nd when the caution flag came out. He's currently running in 6th. So it looks like they're speeding the pace car up from turn 4 to turn 3 fast enough that the backstretch might be an advantage.
Here's a look at how they came off of pit road.
And I believe the one car beat Rusty.
He did.
Want right here. Keep going a little bit more.
There's the line right there.
And Park gets out 3rd.
So he should line up behind the 28.
And has been moved there by NASCAR.
So he's moved in the 5th position.
Let's hear about the leaders' pit stops from Dave Burns.
Jeff Green came in. They changed 4 tires. He was a little bit loose. They made an air pressure adjustment to take care of that. His teammate Mike Skinner, same thing, a little bit loose, air pressure adjustment. Bill?
Well, Rusty Wallace, a little bit loose. Right side air pressure adjustment for him. He's worked hard all night, moved from 9th to 7th on the track, from 7th to 5th
on pit road. Dale Jarrett also on pit road, obviously, under that caution. He had been loose. He got trapped in his pit stall, had to back up and then pull out, lost valuable track position, fell back to 12th. Also thought he had lost third gear, but got it into third gear. Let's go to Marty.
Ward Burton made some decent progress. Bill started 14th, got up to 9th when he came down pit road. A little tight in the center, loose off. They made an air pressure adjustment to help that. They had a great stop down here. Tony Stewart came in, 4 tires, no adjustment, still fighting the brake issue for Tony Stewart's car. And Sterling Marlin had a long pit stop. They were tight, but they decided to pull a rubber out of the left rear. That should make them a little bit looser, should help out that tight condition just a little bit. To Matt Yoakum.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. came in for service. They went 1 round down on the track bar. They also put a rubber in the right front. The problem with the stop that Jack felt, Kevin Pinnell is the Jackman this weekend and last weekend. They've made a change on the Budweiser team. Kevin was the Jackman on the Busch car for Dale Earnhardt Jr., but it was a lengthy stop and it cost him bad. The 99 car of Jeff Burton, he also came in. They made a track bar adjustment. His car very, very loose.
Hey, Matt, did Park get 4 tires and pick up all that track position there?
Yes, indeed, Alan.
That was 4 tire stop for Steve.
Wow.
That's great work.
I thought maybe they might have changed 2 tires to get that track position, but changing 4, terrific work.
That is great work. Here's our Coors pit summary. Remember that the first 2 positions on the track are occupied by guys who didn't stop. So Green's team in first, out first from pit position, but they are third on the racetrack.
So the big losers, Mike Skinner and Jeff Gordon.
Cleanup still continuing here at Bristol, so let's take a break. We'll come back for the restart in a moment. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. And it's Ricky Craven leading the Sharpie 500. Jerry Nadeau trying to get a lap back from him is in 36th place. First car 1 lap down. Let's update. We double-checked during the commercial break. Steve Park just got right side tires. That's how he got off that backstretch pit road so quickly.
Yes, that explains a lot of things, just 2 tires versus 4. Rusty Wallace trying to take a look on the inside of Steve Park.
Oh, trouble off turn 2. Benson gets spun around. Andretti, Kurt Busch. Benson was in 2nd place.
Well, at least they've gotten the transmission fixed on the 97 car.
The fireworks have started early and often here at Bristol. We'll come back in a minute.
Pole sitter has knocked a hole in the radiator. They've taken the car behind the wall to change the radiator.
Ron Hornaday back there with damage. Kevin Harvick's been on pit road with damage. Let's take a look at what happened.
Looks like the 11 car starts it right there. Just takes the 10 car, puts them sideways. Then here in the back, I'm sure everybody started checking up. That's what happened to look like to the 30 car. It looked like somebody checked up in front of him and he got in the back.
The only car he could have hit was Joe Nemechek.
And the 29 car hit the back of the 43 car. That's where he got his damage. Yep.
It's already happened.
The 30 car hit the back of Nemechek, and the 29 car hit the back of John Andretti's car.
There you go. Typical Bristol.
And there's Hornaday. He was back in the middle.
And see, that's the thing right there I explained to you earlier. You're running so close. When a guy in front of you checks up, you check up quick. You just hit in the back of him, and all of a sudden, boom, you get nailed.
Green flag, we're back racing. Ricky Rudd has now taken over the lead.
Oh, crash! Ricky Rudd, Mike Wallace.
Here we go again.
Oh, a big pileup. Sadler's in it, Ward Burton, Bobby Labonte is spun.
Oh,
Mike
Skinner gets down.
Robert Presley hit him.
And look at the water coming out of the Jasper engine where the radiator is broken. Man, resembles a demolition derby.
While the pace car collects up this group, let's hear from the group that's behind the wall. Dave, how about it?
Well, Jeff Green has agreed to talk to us in this difficult circumstance. Jeff, how fast did all that happen?
Just, you know, I don't know, way too fast. Lap cars don't give you a break. They're racing just like the rest of us are, but just hated for an American Online car, man. It was awesome. Just a little bit loose. We're going to tighten it up there, but can't win back here.
And it was a great race for him, guys. That car was very good. His crew's still scrambling on it. And by the way, Ron Hornaday, same problem. They've damaged the radiator as well. They're behind the wall replacing that. Alan?
Well, while they continue to have all this carnage in the early going, we're trying to take advantage and get some commercials out of the way so that if they get to do some racing for a while, we can watch. Steve Parks, the new leader. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Already on the 5th caution of the Sharpie 500, and we're only 93 laps into the event. Ricky Rudd on pit road with damage from that last incident, Bill.
And he was brought in by NASCAR because of damage to the front of the car. A bar sticking out of the left front by the left front tire. They're going to cut that away. It's the bumper bar. They actually just pulled it out. It was knocked loose. While they brought him in, he got 4 tires, and then he goes back out. So Ricky Rudd had to come in, got damage in that accident, loses a lot of track position. Let's go to Dave.
And Bill, this is the 3rd time Mike Skinner has been on pit road. They're now cutting away the rear fender where the damage was most significant. Remember, Mike is getting over his ankle injury and his knee injury to the left side, so anytime he gets shot in the left side here, it can't feel great. He says it's okay, though. They're going to see if they can keep this car running for 500 laps. Marty?
A lot of upset people down here, Dave. Robert Presley, what happened?
I don't know, somebody checked up or that wreck was in front of us, and I don't know, whoever's behind me, 66 or Todd or whatever he is, he just run all over us. I mean, seen the wreck going in 3, but evidently he wasn't paying attention there or something. I don't know. It just, you know what you got here at Bristol, and you got to run them first 250 laps, and some of them can't.
All right, Alan, back up to you.
Let's go back and take a look at all that mess.
Well, I think it all started. Mike Wallace, the 7 car, comes off the corner. He tries a slide job, tries to get up in front of Ricky Rudd, and they make contact. And Mike Wallace starts back and forth, and then Rusty Wallace gets in the back of the 2. He has to back up. The 1 goes on the outside, and behind them, as these cars slow down, all the crashing happened behind them.
I think Mike Wallace cut a right front tire there. See, when he went into 3, the spark shot out of his car.
And there we see Mike Skinner, I guess that is, getting turned around.
Watch Mike. Mike gets the hit right there. That's where he gets the big hit.
Bobby Labonte was going backwards for a little bit. That was a hard lick. I don't think Mike Skinner's car is going to be very good if they do get it back on the racetrack, because that was a hard blow.
Green flag is in the air. Ricky Rudd is back in 28th place. Ricky Craven, by the way, pitted on the previous caution. That's why he's not the leader anymore. Steve Park, Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, Casey Atwood is up to 5th, and now Ward Burton. Casey up to 4th and Ward in 5th.
And here goes Rusty Wallace for the lead. He's there. He has it.
5th different leader tonight.
Jeff Gordon currently is in 3rd place, a mile per second. Jeff Gordon goes to 2nd.
Steve Park must be having a hard time getting grip right now because the 43 car went by him. The 43 car is a lap down. Go right underneath him.
Remember, the Park only got the 2 tires on his pit stop a little bit ago. These guys that are passing him had 4 tires there. Johnny Benson's behind the wall. Mike Wallace has gone behind the wall. Jeff Green is behind the wall. Ron Hornaday is behind the wall. Buckshot Jones's car has just been retired from the race. Jason Lepler's come back out. He's 59 laps down in 43rd position. And Robert Presley is also behind the wall. How about an update on Ricky Rudd, Bill?
Well, the update on Ricky Rudd is that he's fine, but I got a bumper bar down here. It came off the 28 car. Actually, it came out of the 28 car. It's the rear bumper off the 7 car. So they brought Rudd down in here. It was stuck in the front of his grill. The team yanked it out. It actually belongs to the 7 team. So I'll try and return that after they're done with it.
Got a spin on the backstretch. It's Mike Skinner. He's caught the inside wall. Caution's out.
Be out. Left front, right front.
I would have to say that the rear end of that car and the 31 car is probably way out of alignment right now.
And when the caution flag came out, someone saw the lights blink, backed off the accelerator, and someone ran the back of Ward Burton. I guess he backed off, and someone ran in the back of him and spun him. And now he's going to be a lap down.
Oh, man.
6th caution. And we just got to 100 laps. How about it? You're watching NASCAR on TNT. It has been a crazy night so far here in Thunder Valley. 6 cautions in the first 100 laps of the Sharpie 500. Here is the most recent mayhem.
There's Mike Skinner, comes off the corner, just a whole hard blow on the inside wall.
It looks like he got hit by the 11 car on that deal.
Sure does. Man, he doesn't need many blows like that with that sore leg.
Did he get hit or forced wide there?
He got hit.
Yeah. That's what it looks like. Well, Brett got hit in the first incident he was involved in, but about everything else that's happened tonight, he's been right around as well. Let's get some updates from pit road, Marty.
Yeah, Ward Burton was hit in the back by Dale Jarrett in that slowdown through his spotter. Dale Jarrett apologized to Ward Burton, said it was his fault. Ward's had a terrific car. They were running 5th at the time. They came in, took on 4 tires, made no adjustments, but now he's down 2 laps because while he was sitting on the track, they couldn't get the starter to engage. He finally did get it to engage, and now he is running once again.
There's Ward trying to catch up to that line of cars in the inside lane. As Marty said, he's 2 laps down, back in 34th. Let's try this again, shall we? Dale Jarrett for 5th.
Both those guys trying to get by the Kurt Busch automobile.
I talked with Tony earlier today. He was a little concerned about his endurance tonight. He brakes with his left foot. Remember, that's the one he injured, tripping or trying to keep from tripping over the dog last week. The crutches are gone, but it's still very tender. He said when he got toward the end of happy hour last night, it gave him enough pain to be concerned about his ability to use that left foot on the brakes all night.
And you do have to use a tremendous amount of brakes here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Ricky Rudd, the 28 car, trying to fight his way back. He's 24th currently. Having to make that unscheduled pit stop to get the bar off out of the grill that he jerked out of the rear of the 7 car.
Add Mike Skinner to your list of those who are behind the wall, Dave.
Mike Skinner just walked around. You surveyed the damage, Mike. Pretty severe, isn't it?
It's not good. I think maybe I need to get a different color underwear or something. I don't know what the deal is. The Lowe's car was awfully strong tonight. Ran awfully good. It's just Bristol.
Is there any way, Mike, that this, your ankle, was it okay tonight? Are you back to 100% now?
Well, it hit the brake pedal awfully hard. It jammed it, but it hit the side of it. I think it's going to be okay.
Okay, Mike only has 1 top 10 here at Bristol. He won't get another one tonight. By the way, Elliott Sadler, the most recent race winner here, he was complaining of a little bit of an overheating problem, but they pulled out most of the damage on his car, and for the moment, he appears to be okay. His crew told him, you're running times as fast as the leaders. Keep going, buddy.
Elliott's back in 29th place, watching Kevin Harvick.
You know, that's amazing.
14th.
Skinner only has one top 10 finish here. I
Yeah.
mean, as good as he runs this place.
And don't think we're going to let Skinner's remark about the underwear thing go unnoticed.
I think you should.
For those of you who were with us during the rain delay last week at Michigan, Wally made his startling revelation.
I'll get with Mike and we'll go over some colors.
Dave Blaney, Matt Kenseth, racing for 17th and 18th. As we look back into the field a little bit, Dale Jr. behind him in 19th.
Kurt Busch just has to sit out there tonight and try to run 500 laps and stay out of the way. And that's almost impossible to do at Bristol.
And it's no fun. That's the worst thing in the world, is have to run this place, tore up, 3 or 4 laps down. You're looking in the mirror more than you're looking out the windshield.
This is 4th, 5th, and 6th. Casey Atwood, Dale Jarrett, and Tony Stewart. Atwood started back in 34th. Gained 30 positions.
And DJ gets a terrific run off turn 2, goes by Casey Atwood and takes the 20 car with him.
So Jarrett to 4th, Stewart to 5th, and Atwood back to 6th. On board Atwood.
And Casey Atwood right now is trying to figure out, how did they do that? And I was running as hard as I could, and all of a sudden, the 88 car was right beside of me.
Let's mention that Johnny Benson has come back onto the track. He's 25 laps down, 36th place right now. Matt, how about more on Casey Atwood?
Well, Alan, to answer Benny's question, basically 4 newer tires handle better than 2 newer tires. Casey Atwood, one of the teams pitting here in the backstretch, so he and Steve Park and several others have to do the opposite of what the leaders do. The leaders take on 4, they have to take on 2 for track position. They're hoping the caution comes out soon that the leaders will also pit so they can get 4 fresh tires.
Mark Martin picking up a spot on Atwood. That was 7th. Mark started 31st. And the leaders being caught from behind while he is caught the tail end of the field.
96 car, Andy Houston, currently in 30th position. Rusty and Jeff Gordon both have now placed him a lap down. Oh, we got
trouble behind him. Andy Houston. Caution. Rusty Wallace, the leader, trying to come back around to the yellow flag, while Andy Houston brings out yellow flag number 7. Is it too soon for me to mention the record here at Bristol for the most caution flags in a 500-lap Winston Cup race? Got a guess?
Oh, about 18 or 19.
You're very close. 20. Twice.
Stay put. That's all.
Let's take a break. Rusty Wallace and Jeff Gordon lead the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. Championship fight. Just a single point over Joe Ruttman. Nazareth, Pennsylvania, next up for the trucks.
And just about as tight as they get. They could be tied like Jeff Gordon and Dale Jarrett were a couple of times this year. Green flag is back out.
Only a couple of pit stops under the caution. Sterling Marlin, Jeffrey Bodine, Bobby Hamilton, Brett Bodine.
And Todd Bodine gets spun in the 3rd corner, right in front of all the cars. Nemechek still sits there, and guess what? Yellow fever once again.
Number 8.
And the 22 got his lap back.
One of them.
One of them. Got a lap back.
Yes, he did. Matt Kenseth and Bill Elliott would have been the other lead lap cars that pitted under the last caution. Now we're on to the next caution.
After all, we've run 2 laps. Why would we not have a caution flag?
Maybe we need to hire Casey Kasem to say the hits just keep on coming. We're back to Bristol in a minute on TNT. To be a soldier, find out more at GoArmy.com. Let's see, caution number 8.
If you watch here where the 33 is and see where the 66 is, it almost looks like Todd drove down over the top of the 33. 33 was already at the bottom of the racetrack, and I just think that perhaps Todd Spotter or whatever didn't see that coming, but 66 certainly drove down the racetrack over the 33.
On board Dale Jr. is our next view.
Man, oh man. Cars every place. Almost ran in the side of the 33 cars. He tried to go on the bottom of the racetrack. Kevin Harvick.
Okay, let's watch the top view here. Oh.
Yeah, just came across the front, didn't he?
Yep, that view really shows how it happened.
Thinking back to that Harvick thing, has he got both feet on the brake pedal?
Oh, yeah. Trying to get that car slowed down just as quick as he can, and almost ran in the back of the 10 car. And we know, we've seen what happened. We saw 2 cars sitting side by side behind the wall just a moment ago. The 30 and the 14, both of them with the radiators, holes punctured in the radiator because they ran in the back of someone.
Log on now to NASCAR.com and check out the Conseco NASCAR Fantasy Challenge. Pick your own team of drivers and see how you match up against other fantasy teams. Log on today and you might just win a replica of the number 14 Conseco Winston Cup Pontiac.
And there he is on the racetrack with a new radiator installed.
Ron is 51 laps down, back in 40th position.
Get ready. Good.
And we're back at it again. Let's see how many laps we can get this time. What's your over-under there, BP?
We might go to 500 this time without a caution flag.
We might, huh?
We might. Probably won't, but we might. And Steve Park now is getting very, very racy. All of a sudden, those new right sides have worn a little bit, and the tires are matched up pretty good, and he's giving Jeff Gordon all he wants right now.
Wallace, Gordon, Park, then Jarrett, Stewart. Spencer's up to 6th, Martin to 7th, Jeff Burton to 8th, Terry Labonte's into the top 10 and 9th, and then Kevin Harvick's in 10th. Robert Presley back on the track after time behind the wall. 50 laps down in 38th spot. There's Ricky Rudd trying to come back up through. He's in 16th place. Check that, he's just taken 15th from Todd Bodine, Dave.
And Alan, he didn't want to pass him on the inside because the left rear quarter panel of Todd Bodine is sticking out like a dagger, like something out of the Ben-Hur movie. So he went to the high side so that he didn't cut down a tire.
Oh.
There he is using it right there on Rick Mast.
Well, one thing about it, that dagger is now flattened out because the right front tire on Rick Mast's car flattened it out.
Dale Jr. for 16th place. And Jeremy Mayfield to follow him around. Wally, a lot of discussion. Every week in the drivers' meeting, NASCAR says, you drive the car, don't let your spotter drive the car. So we've seen Todd Bodine now twice come down the track and bounce off of somebody. Is the spotter saying clear and he's turning down? Or is he trying to judge out that rear view mirror, which is difficult? Oh, trouble in the backstretch. Before we get to that, Rick Mast is in it. Jeffrey Bodine is in it. Caution number 9.
I guess they didn't get to 500 without a caution flag.
No, sir. Is there a full moon?
No, and last night we saw the moon. It was only a half moon.
Second incident Rick Mast has been involved in tonight. Off turn 2 and onto the backstretch.
32 just gets into the back of Jeffrey Bodine, which turns him into the 27 car.
Good luck there for Jeffrey.
On board with Casey Atwood. Yes. And they both somehow get on the bottom of the racetrack and avoid Rick Mast. There's a lot of damage to Rick Mast's car. Boy, there are going to be some angry people at Darlington next week.
I think there's some tempers going on right now.
There is some serious tempers going on right now.
You know what the thing about Bristol is? There's no tunnel to get out. All those angry people, when they're out of the race, have to stay here till it's over. And there's some interesting discussions that happen, too. Would you believe there actually has been a caution-free race here at Bristol?
Oh, yeah, I was in it.
When was it?
1971.
There you go. Cars out of the race. Got a bunch of them. Wallace, Gordon, and Park have cleared the lap traffic. Fourth place Dale Jarrett has also gotten through the traffic. Then you've got a couple of lap cars before you get back to Tony Stewart, who's in fifth.
And Steve Park hangs with these two cars for the first 4 or 5 laps on a restart. But after that point, they start driving away from him slowly.
Rick Mast's car has just been officially retired from the race. And here comes Ricky Rudd back through the traffic. Trying to get 13th from Dave Blaney.
Inside. Clear low if you need it. Clear low.
Dave Burns.
Alan, they were encouraging Ricky on the radio. You've come from 29th to 15th in this last run. Good job, buddy. But he's complaining that there's no front grip on the 28 car. That's what he's battling right now.
That means when he goes down the corner right there and turns the steering wheel, the car slides across the racetrack. The only way to keep it on the bottom is back off a little earlier than he would like to.
Let's mention that Jeffrey Bodine, after the spin a minute ago, made 2 pit stops. He's back on track. He did lose a lap. He's in 31st place.
That's him on the left side of the screen, and Ricky Rudd is going to be going around on the outside right now.
Second car out of Brother Brett's Racing Stables. Fielded with a new sponsor. Trying to establish something to perhaps field that effort full-time in 2002. Mike Wallace comes back in the race. That's Mike down the bottom of the track there.
That race car would be safer, Mike, in the pit area than on the racetrack, I think.
74 laps down. Junior, 14th place on Ricky Rudd. Listening to Ty Norris, spotter, talk to Dale Jr.
Like you're off the throttle forever here. You get back on the throttle and listen how he gets off the throttle and just lets the car coast through. Then starts picking up the gas. And you really can't get hard on the gas until you're almost all the way through the corner or through the center of the corner. Because if you get on it too soon, if your car's a little bit tight, you're going to hit the wall.
See? Junior is driven away from Ricky Rudd.
You see right there, Ricky's tight right before the center of the corner. His car slides up the racetrack.
There's Sterling Marlin running in 17th spot. Got a camera in the wheel well.
And we can see just how much tire deflection. What I mean by that, when he gets on the straightaway, I'm going to point to the tire. I'm going to circle the tire. Watch this area here when he goes down in the corner, how much it goes in, and the force that is applied to that tire.
And the sparks are the brakes.
That's right. The red sparks you see, that's the brake pads going out and meeting the rotor, and sparks will fly from it.
Hey, you know, that's a great illustration of how bumpy this surface is. One of the things the drivers talk about a lot, Wally, is the pounding they take here at Bristol. And look at how much that suspension is traveling, even going down the straightaways here.
I'll tell you what, your eyeballs hurt after this race. And I'm not joking. I mean, you run 500 laps here, and your eyes hurt from all the vibration and shaking here for 500 laps.
Let's get more on Sterling Marlin. Here's Marty.
Well, this business just has a way of putting you down when you're on top, doesn't it? Sterling has been tight all night long, terribly tight. Here is a list of adjustments they've gone through tonight. They've added a rubber to the right rear, pulled one out of the left rear. They've made 4 separate wedge adjustments, 4 rounds up on the track bar, and 2 separate air pressure adjustments, and it's only slightly better. They're running 17th. That's about what they've run all night, and they just can't make the car any better.
That's got to be frustrating.
Well, one thing about it, take a look at this 40 car. If we could see inside and the chassis and everything else, we will not see that car back at Bristol again. They'll bring another one the next time.
Most recent retiree from the race is Rick Mast, and he's with Liz.
Rick, there's been a lot of cautions tonight, and you've been in several of them. What happened out there?
Man, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a big old jar of Duke's mayonnaise and fix me a bologna sandwich. Golly, I thought after last night's bush race that everybody had it out of the system, but evidently not. I mean, the Duke's mayonnaise car was real good tonight. I mean, we went into, let's see, the first wreck, we're going to turn 3. Somebody wrecks in front of us. I slow down. Somebody nails me from behind, and it runs me into the car in front of me, and I bust the oil cooler. We spent about 20 laps fixing that. I go back out. I get into the 96 car one time. My fault, didn't mean to happen. But then the last time, I don't know what happened. We're coming off 2, and somebody just absolutely drop kicked me from back. I mean, that hurt. That one hurt. The other ones didn't hurt, but that one hurt. But I was real tickled with the car. I was real tickled with the Duke's mayonnaise car tonight. Somebody's messing with me, Benny. Oh, y'all come to my golf tournament. See you later.
Rick's got a little friend on his shoulder up here tonight. Alan?
Rick having a golf tournament, was it September 5th, I believe it is. Does it every year to benefit a health foundation in his own town. Up in Rockridge, Baths, Virginia.
Tony Stewart, Dale Jarrett.
4th and 5th. Let's mention that Andy Houston has retired his car from the race.
That was a hard lick. Andy Houston hit the inside wall on the backstretch. There's no surprise to me they retired that automobile.
Texas Terry has had an absolute dreadful season. Terry Labonte's last top 10 finish was here at Bristol back in March. That was his last top 10 finish. He's not led yet this season. But he's got a couple of wins here at Bristol, and after starting back in 21st place, he's up to 9th. Tony the Tiger got a little something to roar about tonight.
Terry Labonte has won twice here, as you can see on the graphic. Martin a couple of times, but Rusty Wallace 9 times. So it's no surprise that the lead of the race right now is Rusty Wallace.
Let's get an update on Terry Labonte's progress from Marty.
Yeah, Alan, you talk about how bad the season has been for these guys. You mentioned they haven't led a lap. They haven't finished in the top 10 since they've been here, and they desperately want to do a good job tonight, possibly finish in the top 5, maybe even the top 10. The car is terrific, and this is the patience of a veteran. Terry is not pushing things. He's not putting the car in bad spots. In fact, he just let Kevin Harvick go by him because Kevin was pushing him too much. Terry showing a lot of patience out there, really working the car, working lap traffic very well. So far, no scratches on the Kellogg's car.
And again, just needing something good to happen. We've just run 30 consecutive laps under the green flag. Will we make it to 41? That's the most straight green flag racing we've had tonight. We'll find out when we come back to Bristol in a minute on TNT. Whole of family of drivers and where they're standing in tonight's race. You see Steve Park and Stewart and Jarrett all running very well. Jeff Burton and Michael Waltrip a little farther back.
Bobby Labonte in 18th. We see Ricky Rudd, Bill Elliott, Andy Houston in 38th is already out of the event. He's back enjoying a nice coat.
Had a change for that 4th position a minute ago. Tony Stewart has gotten by Dale Jarrett. Picked up the spot on him. We check in on the leaders. Rusty Wallace and Jeff Gordon are kind of been in that formation for a while. Let's get an update on the leader from Bill Weber.
Well, it's been a great night for Rusty Wallace. Of course, he was having a great afternoon 1 week ago. It was a valve spring that slowed Rusty's run at the win at Michigan last Sunday afternoon. But this car tonight has been very strong, and that's one reason you haven't seen a lot of pit stops during the last few cautions. Rusty's car is good. He doesn't want to stop, doesn't need to stop. If he does, the other guys will get a chance to make their car better. Rusty on a mission after the last couple of weeks, looking for Bristol win number 10.
And I tell you what, Rusty, oh, look at Jimmy Spencer. He's right on the back bumper of Dale Jarrett, battle for the 5th position.
Spencer started this race back in 23rd position.
And there he goes, drives up on the inside of Jarrett and tries to get on the inside of the 09 of Jeffrey Bodine. And DJ said, man, go ahead, just go on. Just be my guest.
Oh, look out.
DJ almost crashed trying to avoid spinning out the 09 car of Jeffrey Bodine.
I don't think Jeffrey wanted to run the outside. I think he wanted the leaders to take him on the outside.
Kind of appears that way.
It appears to be. Good save by Dale. Hangs on to 6th spot. Now Happy Harvick's moving up on him. By the way, we have now run more consecutive green flag laps tonight than at any other point in this race.
We knew they could do it. We knew they were good race car drivers. They could do it. We were just beginning to wonder if they could, if they were ever going to.
If they were going to tonight.
Yes.
9 caution flags already in this event as Harvick goes after Jarrett and gets that 6th position away. How about Kevin Harvick, Dave?
Part of the reason he's doing that, Alan, is because of the long run that you just talked about. His car was working very well, but it worked so much better on long runs. So this time that he's had under green, he's picked off 4 cars now, restarting in 10th position when the green came back out. By the way, if they need pit strategy later on, they did try a 2-tire stop last night in the Busch race, which he won, and they think they know how to adjust for that.
It's been 133 laps since these lead cars stopped on pit road. They were all in at lap 71. So another...
Well, we know that Elliott Sadler can run 162 because that's what he ran here in the spring. But I would guess it's somewhere around 150. Most of these cars will hit pit road.
And it'll be absolutely shocking if they do it under the green. Jeff Gordon has not put any pressure on Rusty Wallace other than just being in his tire tracks. He's been about that far back since they got up into the top 2 spots.
I think Jeff Gordon right now is content to run right there.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, it's pretty hard to get around Rusty. So if he can keep Rusty in his sights, and if they have to make pit stops under green, they both got great pit crews. It'll be interesting to see who wins that race. But I think you're right, BP. I think Jeff's just letting Rusty make the hole through traffic.
Kurt Busch in the 97, 3 laps down, 33rd position, involved in an early spin. And the leaders continue to pick their way around. Wallace and Gordon pacing the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. We're back in a minute on TNT.
Well, like I said, BP, 24 really wanted to get by Rusty badly.
Oh, wait a minute.
Here's what he's going to do.
Wait a minute.
All of a sudden, it looked like Rusty's car, he's struggling to get around the racetrack. Jeff Gordon gets position on the inside, and as he does that, Rusty had to back off because he was up on the top side. Tony Stewart drove by.
Why is Rusty struggling, Bill?
Car's just a little loose right now. Loose race car for Rusty Wallace. Got about 40 or so laps before he'll be pitted.
Really?
Wow, that's a lot of laps on those tires.
Man, that's a long ways.
That'll be about a 190 lap run. 185 lap run when they stop.
And that tire wear, that was outstanding to be able to run that far.
Still running lap times in the low 17, high 16 second bracket. Curious little irony that Gordon and Stewart would end up close together on the track here at Bristol, up at the front of the pack. You remember what happened at the end of the race back in March, don't you?
I do remember. And I'm sure both those drivers remember. What we're talking about, the 24 car got in the back of the 20 for, I don't know, third or fourth position, whatever it was, and spun the 20 car out with just a lap or two to go. And after the race, the 20 came down and hit the 24 on pit road as they were stopping on pit road.
Let's find out what's going on with Jeff Gordon's car from Dave.
Alan, you wondered if he was content running behind Rusty Wallace, so I wrote the word content on my notepad and showed it to Robbie Loomis, his crew chief. And Robbie kind of sneered and shrugged, like, no, not really. And just after that, he passed him. I asked him if the car was neutral. He said, yeah. And Jeff has been very silent on the radio. Let's go to Marty.
Actually, a little while ago, Dave, Tony Stewart was complaining about his car. It starts tight, gets tighter the longer that he runs. They say they have to stop at about lap 255, much more reasonable numbers. When they do come in, they're talking about an air pressure adjustment and a track bar adjustment. They are tight, but their car is not falling off as much as the other cars are.
Jeff Gordon finally gets that position on Ricky Craven, the 32 car, and goes by and puts Craven a lap down. Now just 25 cars on the lead lap.
Here's a challenge for fourth. Harvick is by Park.
And this 29 car, Kevin Harvick, has been fast the last few laps. Checking the computer, he's been running speeds consistently as fast as Jeff Gordon.
Next car behind Steve Park will be Jimmy Spencer. Spencer is 2 cars back. It's his teammate Todd Bodine in between. There's Spencer. 6th place. Spencer's team carrying some decals in support of a fundraising program that his sponsor is doing in support of school districts. They're trying to raise $10 million to donate to schools this year. How about Spencer's race, Matt?
Well, I talked to Donnie Wingo, Jimmy Spencer, crew chief. He told me that Jimmy's reporting in. The car is neutral. They are on the same sequence with the leader, Jeff Gordon, and Tony Stewart, and Rusty Wallace's 4 is tires. They are on 4 tires. They are pitting on the backstretch. They should pit somewhere around lap 250 to 255. Jimmy told me this morning that he learned a lot in the first series race last night about the trends that should take place in tonight's race with this tire.
Jimmy's best ever finish here at Bristol came when he was pitted on the backstretch 2 years ago. He finished 2nd in the '99 night race here.
All right, Jeff Gordon right behind Casey Atwood. This is on board with Casey Atwood. Several cars directly in front of the leader now, Jeff Gordon. The 2 Evernham cars are up there. Jeremy Mayfield, Brett Bodine.
That's not good for Mayfield to get shuffled outside when the leader's coming up behind him. Uh-oh, trouble for Mark Martin. Into the outside wall. No caution. We stay under green. Mark was running in 14th on the lead lap at the time. And he's headed for the backstretch pit road. Got green flag pit stops coming up for the leaders in a moment, so we'll take a break and come back for those. Jeff Gordon leads. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Under caution again in the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. It's happened again. Pit stops have just happened for the race leaders. We will show you those in just a moment. Kevin LePage has taken over the lead by not stopping.
And Rusty Wallace was the first car off pit road, the cars that did make pit stops.
Let's go back and take a look.
Here comes Rusty. Here comes Gordon. We see that Rusty beats him past the line, and they just stand on the gas, hurriedly go to the back straightaway. And that time Steve Park had to change 4 tires, and he found out what a big advantage it was on being on the backstretch.
Fell back to 9th place, so he lost 3 positions because one of them was from Kevin LePage not stopping. Kevin was 16th before the caution, and now he takes over the lead. Bill Weber.
Well, Rusty Wallace on pit road, outstanding stop, 14.85 seconds for the Miller Lite guys. Air pressure adjustment to try and correct that loose situation. Rusty Wallace, outstanding stop, outstanding track position. Dave?
Bill, Jeff Gordon gave up the lead, came in for 4 tires. He was a little bit tight. They just changed 4 tires and made an air pressure adjustment. Kevin Harvick's car was a little bit tight in the center of the corner and needed a little forward bite off. So they made some adjustments to correct that problem for Kevin Harvick. Marty?
15.4 on the stop for Tony Stewart. Again, he was tight. They took a pound out of the right front tire. They also went up on the track bar. That should loosen him up just a little bit. And one benefit from the cautions tonight, there have been so many of them, 10 now, is that Tony is getting to rest his left ankle, which is still hurting, Matt.
And Steve Park took on 4 tires. He had over 180 laps on his left side tires. He was complaining he could not get any forward fight. They took air pressure out of both rear tires and took 1 round of wedge out.
The caution was brought out because Michael Waltrip crashed in turns 3 and 4. We'll show it to you in a minute. First, we're back at it.
Now the 22 car, Ward Burton, is still 1 lap down. He spun on the backstretch earlier. The car stalled, would not restart. He lost 2 laps. He's made 1 of those up. And now with light getting from this 4 car and have another caution flag come out, they'd be back lead left.
What happened there? Trouble, Ricky Craven. Into the inside wall in the backstretch.
And
Caution's out.
Flag is out, and Ward Burton back on the lead lap.
And that's not good news for the rest of them because Ward has been very fast tonight.
Todd Bodine trying to get a lap back from Kevin LePage. It is being suggested to him that he stop and get back behind the leader because he didn't get back to the yellow flag first.
Well, these cars took the yellow flag the last time by.
All right, let's go look at it.
Ricky Craven comes off the corner, almost spins Dale Jarrett out, and Craven trying his best to avoid spinning out Dale Jarrett. Turned the car so hard to avoid Jarrett and backed off the throttle at the same time. That's what caused his car to spin.
Another look at it. Craven just push it up a little bit.
Can't see too much there. Oh! And he hits that inside hard.
Very hard.
Very hard.
They saw that smoke. Ward Burton bouncing off Kevin LePage up there, trying to get under him to get that lap back.
See Ricky Craven still sitting in the car talking to the rescue workers. Oh, there he finally gets out.
Now, the caution before was brought out when Michael Waltrip crashed in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Let's have a look at this. Oh, did his teammate get him?
His teammate got him.
Ouch.
I do believe that his teammate, Junior, got in the back of the 15 car.
Oh. Mikey's behind the wall. It's been a rough and rugged night here at Bristol, but
many times, not only here at Bristol, but across the NASCAR circuit. Many, many fond memories. Alan?
All right, Bill, thank you. We are a half a lap from the restart. Kevin LePage has given up the lead for a pit stop. He is back in 24th now. He was the only one on the lead lap to come in. So Rusty Wallace is now back out in front, but Todd Bodine was between LePage and Wallace when the caution came out. So he's on the tail end of the lead lap in front of Rusty. Bottom of the halfway next time. Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon. Then the lap car of Bobby Hamilton. Then third place, Tony Stewart. And we are halfway through the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. The spectacle, the sight, the night race on the world's fastest half mile. Glad you've joined us for our coverage here on TNT. Alan Bestwick here with Benny Parsons, Wally Dallenbach, and our entire NASCAR crew. This has been a rugged and rough race, and Jeff Gordon might just get the lead away from Rusty Wallace here.
He's there. Off the corner, side by side, makes some contact in the back straightaway. Jeff's got to get the lead out of this deal. He's got the excellent position.
Gordon to the point. Story of this race so far, crashing early and often. We've had 11 cautions. 63 of the 250 laps in the first half of this race have been run behind the pace car. Drivers who are out of the race include Mark Martin, Ricky Craven, Michael Waltrip. They're all behind the wall. You've got Andy Houston, Rick Mast, Jeff Green, the pole sitter, Buckshot Jones out of the race. Number of other cars laps down after damage. They've been running all over each other tonight here in Thunder Valley. Ricky Craven, the most recent driver to go behind the wall. He's with Liz.
Ricky, this is not where you want to be right now. What happened out there?
Well, it's just a contact sport, you know. It's just like a 12-round heavyweight fight. You just go toe-to-toe all night. And the only way to avoid that is to be out front. And then even then you can't avoid it. But it wasn't our night for the Tide team. But we're going to come back next week at Darlington. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, they're still working on the car, maybe in hopes of getting it back out there tonight, Alan.
Battle position, Steve parked to one car on the inside of Labonte. Terry Labonte for 7th. Jimmy Spencer goes by.
Spencer picking up a spot there. Ken Schrader running in 6th. They're trying to get some spots on him. Haven't called Schrader's name a lot tonight, but he started back in 11th. Or up in 11th, I should say. He's had a solid night.
Kenny loves this place. He loves running this place, and he runs it well. They had a lot of problems in practice, but they got a good qualifying lap. And he's running really good now. The one car's all over him.
Because the 26 is all over the 1.
6th, 7th, and 8th.
Park finally gets that run off turn 2. Takes a spot away. Here comes Jimmy Spencer. We see Bill Elliott go round.
Caution's out. 12th time tonight.
Now, Todd Bodine did get a lap back that time.
So Todd is back on the lead lap in 24th place. There's the blue light special.
You come in to put 4 tires on to take the wedge out of it. Better do 2 at a time, probably. Hold up.
And Elliott's got some problems there that he will come to pit road and get attended to. Just past halfway here at Bristol in the Sharpie 500. 12th caution of the Sharpie 500 brought out when Bill Elliott got spun around up in 3 and 4. He's getting attention from the Dodge boys.
Some damage to the left front that the flat tire did. They have hammered out. And the inspector's telling something over on the right side. Okay, now we got it fixed. I guess that's some lug nuts off the right rear.
Elliott back in 26 now, 1 lap down. Let's take a look at what happened to him to get him spun around.
Dale Jr., the 8 car, was there. It's almost like what Todd Bodine in the 33 car earlier.
Tough call, just fighting for the same real estate. You've got to get these cars down on the bottom. They both wanted to be on the bottom. And if you get a little bit outside of that dark area, take a look here.
Clear down, come on down.
It just doesn't take much.
Down,
it just takes a little hit like that.
Nice move by Matt Kenseth to get by the both of them. Well, they were hung together. Matt went to 17th, and Elliott again getting attention from the Ray Evernham Motorsports team.
You know, Alan, you were talking about earlier about the spotters. The problem with doing the spotting job here is by the time you see something and you push the button and you go to say something, that hole may be gone.
Yeah.
I mean, things happen so quick here that the driver really has to use his instincts on that.
Ward Burton's back on the lead lap. Marty?
Yeah, Alan, they decided to come down pit road this time. His car was pretty loose on that last run, and they really didn't have much to lose. They restarted 23rd, had gotten up to 21st now. They took 2 rounds out of the right rear of Wedge. That should tighten them up as we get ready to go back to green on the racetrack.
Green.
Gordon, Wallace, Stewart, Jarrett, Harvick. Those are the top 5.
And that's exactly what Jeff wanted to happen. He wanted to get that 55 car in between him and the 2 car for as long as he possibly can. Because if the 2 car has just a little bit of trouble getting around Bobby Hamilton, that's going to help Jeff Gordon drive a little bit further away.
Hamilton in 25th place. First car 1 lap down.
Oh, looked like Hamilton got in the fence off turn 4. I'm sorry, that was turn 2.
It happens so fast here, it's understandable.
On board with Tony Stewart as he now has the problem trying to get by Bobby Hamilton. That 36 degrees bank we showed you in a pre-race show, it just doesn't look like it's that steep inside these race cars.
But when you're sitting in that thing, when you go down in the corner, it feels like you're being thrown out the right side window when you go barreling off into one of these corners right here. Right there, you're being pushed so hard to the right, you can't believe it.
Wasn't that cool with the bowling balls?
It's a great shot.
I got a great laugh at that. Little payback back in traffic. Johnny Benson just gave Brett Bodine a good rap in the back bumper. He's getting admonished from NASCAR on that. Remember that Benson was involved in an accident earlier in the race in which Brett Bodine was the other participant.
You don't get any rest here. When you watch Rusty go through the corner, you come through the corner and you get down the straightaway. It takes you half the straightaway to get the car straightened up.
Let's just talk. Let's just, as he comes off the corner, next time we'll count and see how long and he's able to relax. He's done in the corner, comes off. When the wheel goes back straight, we'll count. 1001, 1002, about 1 second and 3/4. He's back into the corner, turning again.
And that ain't much of a rest.
Not much of a rest is correct.
Watch him come up out of the seat when he stands all the way on the throttle. Watch his helmet. See him sit up in the seat?
Yeah.
He's hard on it.
Rusty Wallace, one of the masters of Bristol. 9 times he's been to victory lane here. He's won 3 of the last 5 races, all told in his career. Rusty has led over 3,300 laps here.
And this 2-car, Rusty Wallace, added to that total here tonight. But right now he's in second spot, 1.25 seconds behind Jeff Gordon.
Rusty has led 123 laps tonight between 2 different occasions out in front. Other lap leaders include Jeff Green, the pole sitter, who went out of the race after being involved in an accident. Jeff Gordon, Ricky Craven, Kevin LePage, Steve Park, and Ricky Rudd. Let's mention that Jeff Green, while his car is out of the race, he is now behind the wheel of Mike Skinner's car. And is back in action, 109 laps down. Richard Childress deciding that it wasn't worth taking a chance on Skinner banging that left ankle and knee up again. Dale Jarrett running in 4th place. Bill, how about him?
Had one of those typical Bristol nights. He has hit just about everything or everybody on the racetrack. Never, really not his fault. He's been in the wrong place at the wrong time, but the car is extremely good. They've had good pit stops, too. 14.5 and 15.5 seconds. Last time made a track bar and an air pressure adjustment. He's a candidate for the Winning Ugly Award. Matt?
Besides battling, having to pit here on the backstretch, Steve Park now has a problem with his bolting. It is dropping. Paul Andrews told him to swap to the second box. Steve reported in, he started the race in the second box. The concern is there's no rev chip in the second ignition box. They're hoping to go to that second box because sometimes another ignition box will draw differently. He has turned off all the fans except for the rear end gear fan. The one thing about driver comfort, he's also turned off the air conditioning unit to his seat.
Steve Park running in 6th place right now. Staying right with Kevin Harvick, who's in front of him.
Jeff Gordon, the last couple of laps, he's in traffic right now, but the last 3 or 4 laps I've been checking their monitor, and Rusty Wallace, everyone in the top 6 has been faster than Jeff Gordon.
Last lap by, they were pretty close. We'll check speeds at the line here this time.
Now, don't forget, you got some of these guys working traffic, so.
That time Gordon was faster. Dave?
And Alan, a while ago, Jeff radioed into his crew, good car feels real good. And he hasn't said anything since, so all we can assume is he did get caught up in traffic for the time being. Robin Loomis did tell him, don't be afraid to turn a little front brake into it if you want to, which I guess that might mean that he was a little bit loose, and you can adjust that with brake bias.
That's exactly what he's probably talking about, so. But he doesn't look loose right now. He's got that car stuck right on the bottom of the racetrack. He's actually even getting on the asphalt a little bit. So his car is working excellent.
212 laps to go. Another critical round of pit stops coming up for the leaders. We're back to Thunder Valley in a minute. Log on to NASCAR.com to play the AutoTrader.com Move of the Race sweepstakes for your chance to win a $25,000 shopping spree on AutoTrader.com and other great prizes. Jeff Gordon still leads the Sharpie 500. Second place has changed hands. Tony Stewart is around Rusty Wallace.
And Tony Stewart is gaining on Jeff Gordon, getting closer and closer. You see, talk about Jeff Gordon being very low on the racetrack. Wally, I think he's trying to use the apron of the racetrack to turn the car, to get the car a little bit loose. Talking about Jeff Gordon.
You might be right, BP. There's a lot of times, especially getting off of turn 2, if you're a little bit tight, you run as low as you possibly can, so you get down on that asphalt to give you more room when you come off the corner. And he's been doing that quite a bit, especially off of 2.
Next weekend, we go from tough old Bristol to tough old Darlington. Another great one coming up for you. Coverage starts Friday with Bud Pole qualifying at 3 Eastern Time on CNN Sports Illustrated. Saturday, our doubleheader, the NASCAR Busch Series race, followed by NASCAR Winston Cup Happy Hour. Coverage of that begins at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT. And then next weekend, the Mountain Dew Southern 500. One of the gems of NASCAR racing. 12:30 Eastern Time. Our coverage begins next weekend here on TNT.
These cars have been going to Darlington since 1950.
The original super speedway. Brett Bodine had been back on the lead lap. Benny mentioned that earlier. He's about to get overtaken by the leader, Jeff Gordon. And Rusty Wallace starting to fall back into the clutches of Dale Jarrett. And Kevin Harvick, for that matter. Steve Park's there, too. So despite having led the most laps so far tonight, Rusty Wallace is starting to fall back into traffic. Bill?
Yeah, Alan, Rusty Wallace he made an air pressure adjustment last time in, and he's just called into his crew and asked them to undo that adjustment or take the air pressure back to what it was. Now, I'm going to guess, which you should never do with Rusty because it usually gets you a lecture the next week. But I'm guessing that they made that air pressure adjustment for that loose handling condition when he's deep into the run. Early in the run, it's affecting him. He's tight. So he's asked him to change that back. It's good for the shorter run, but not for the longer run. We'll see what happens.
Guys, let's talk a little pit strategy here. Probably only one more stop left in the race for these guys. They were in at 2:35. That left 265 laps to go in the race.
If they get a caution flag within their window of being able to go the rest of the way, we'll see a lot of guys make their final pit stop.
And that'd be another 30 laps from now. We'll get them into that window, right?
Probably.
160, 170 laps. Elliott Sadler ran 163 laps on tires here in the spring and won the race. As you look down from our U.S. Army Skycam here on Bristol, an Army of one. Find out more at GoArmy.com. Haven't talked to Dale Jarrett here in just a little bit. DJ started 7th. The dreadful luck of the past few weeks that has dropped him 354 points behind Jeff Gordon in their race for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. He lost 107 points by finishing 41st at Pocono, another 105 at Watkins Glen with his 2 trips into the gravel trap and a 31st place finish. And then last week in Michigan, the late flat tire that dropped him to 37th at the checkered flag. Cost him another 89 points.
They got themselves into a real quandary in Michigan last week. DJ reported in he felt like the tire was going down, but they need to run 5 or 6 more laps to get to the window so they could run the rest of the way.
Just be smooth. Don't overdrive it right now.
Well, he's about to lose the spot.
Todd Parrott talking to Dale there.
So last week they tried to run to get to that window, and the tire went completely flat in that 5 or 6 laps, and that's when he brushed the wall.
So Jarrett now back to 5th, being pressured there by Steve Park. Behind Park, you've got Jimmy Spencer right tightly in line. Spencer's running in 7th.
Man, they get around this racetrack so fast.
17 seconds or less, even at race pace. And there goes Park.
I don't think Dale can keep his car down on the bottom or as low as some of these other cars right now. It actually looks like he's a little bit tight right through the center.
If you're new to NASCAR, tight, the term the drivers use when the car won't turn in the center of the corner the way that you want it to. Won't turn in the corner, period, the way you want it to.
He also could be in the same situation. If you're going down into the corner and the car's loose getting in, you'll use that banking. You'll let the car slide up the racetrack to catch the loose.
Here's Bobby Labonte. Defending NASCAR Winston Cup champ, started 16th. He's chipped his way up to 8th, Marty.
Yeah, Alan here at lap 314. As you said, Bobby Labonte running 8th. That's impressive for a couple of reasons. Number one, because on lap 100, he was running 29th, so they picked up 21 spots here in 215 laps. That's pretty good. Also impressive because this is not Bobby's best track. He has never finished in the top 5 here, and they have a terrific run going. And the thing that amazes me this week is that Bobby Labonte is 7th in points right now. That's the highest he has been all season long.
Brett Bodine's car is getting the black flag. Some sheet metal flapping from his machine that NASCAR wants attended to.
And we see Kevin Harvick has caught Rusty Wallace and just blows right by him.
Rusty needs a caution.
So put Kevin Harvick into the 3rd position.
Cautions that were plentiful in the first 100 laps of this race.
But if Rusty gets the caution flag, can he afford to stop?
Oh, you have to. If your car's handling that poorly at this point, don't you? 180 laps to go.
You have to stop.
I think so.
But he's doing everything he can right now to get to that point where he's got to make a pit stop.
Dale Jr., 21st place, on a lap down. Matt?
Well, Alan, I talked to Tony Eury Sr. He said that the car about 150 laps ago was the best. Dale Earnhardt Jr. said it was all night, but now it's gotten tight in the middle and very loose off. But their biggest hindrance tonight has been pit stops. In fact, after their last stop, which was the 17-plus range, Tony Sr. said to all the over-the-wall guys, get behind the box, get together in circle, and focus. Let's get back on track. We are not going to do anything tonight with 17-second-plus stops.
Not anything good, anyway. Boy, Ken Schrader's got his hands full. He's a lap down. He was 6th not that long ago.
Yeah, Kenny, I watched Kenny about the last 4 or 5 laps, and he has been way up the racetrack.
He really doesn't like this set of tires. He just radioed in. We've got a problem. 36 pit crew on the wall, vibrating very bad and very, very loose. 36 cars.
He's just lost 21st position, or he's about to with Todd Bodine.
And depending on how bad that vibration is, that could be a loose wheel. Hopefully not.
You hear the crew getting ready for Schrader. Jerry Nadeau is on pit road under the green flag as well. But it is all good for Jeff Gordon right now. Keeps leading. He's going to overtake Rusty Wallace for most laps led tonight. We'll come back to Bristol in a minute. 168 laps to go in the Sharpie 500 NASCAR on TNT from Thunder Valley, Bristol Motor Speedway in northeastern Tennessee. It's a Jeff Gordon night right now. It was a Rusty Wallace night earlier. Gordon has overtaken him. Wallace has slipped back to 6th position.
Check this out, Jeff Gordon, the last 4 races. Pocono, 45-point lead. Indianapolis, 160-point lead. Watkins Glen, 194-point lead. And after Michigan, 298 points. Man, he's been pouring it on the last little bit. But right now, Tony Stewart is the guy that's pouring it on.
Stewart in 2nd, the orange car, catching up to Gordon as they've worked some lap traffic over the last short while. Stewart has not yet led tonight. Started back in 18th, Marty.
And Tony Stewart right now, Alan, just a little bit tight, like we said earlier. Although he has not said the word, that's the suspicion on Greg Ziffidelli's part. Very happy with the car right now. We might see some guys on pit road try some strategy. Maybe 2 tires, maybe no tires on this last stop. Today, Burns.
Same story as before for Kevin Harvick. He's a little bit tight in the center, but after the 10-lap period or so, the car gets very good, and now he's about 4 seconds behind Tony Stewart trying to catch him. Matt?
It's taken Steve Park over 100 laps to climb from 9th on his restart when he pitted on lap 235 up to 4th. Nothing new on the voltmeter. Park has not said anything about the handling of his race car. Jimmy Spencer was a little bit loose when he pitted. They took a little bit of air pressure out, a half a pound out of the right rear. Spencer says the car is fine.
Spencer's in 5th. You've got Rusty Wallace in 6th. Rusty has led 123 laps tonight, but he has fallen back over the last 40, 50 laps. From the lead to 2nd, now back to 6th, and we may have a new leader here.
As far as back, as much as Tony Stewart has gained on Jeff Gordon, you would think that he is clearly much faster and should be able to pass. But he'll probably only be able to pass if Jeff Gordon wants him to pass.
Remember the race for 4th on the final lap here in March when Jeff used the old chrome horn, that front bumper, to get Stewart out of his way to grab that position. Looking a little farther back, change for 6th place. Bobby Labonte has just gotten around Rusty Wallace, so Rusty's struggles continue. Let's check in on Bobby Labonte with Marty.
He's been quite impressive, Alan, working his way up through the field. Currently 6th, as you said. Again, he's never finished in the top 5 here. The car has a slight push, and he has been the fastest car on the racetrack for a good while now. Definitely faster than the leader, Jeff Gordon.
Behind Bobby, you've got Rusty Wallace we talked about, then Dale Jarrett. Now back to 8th place. DJ, the 97 winner of this race. Got some damage in one of the early crashes, but he's kept on trucking. There's a change for position.
Ricky Rudd got in the back of the 5 car. Terry Labonte moved him up the hill just a little bit. Dave Burns on the 28.
Well, I don't think that'll help his car turn. That is Ricky Rudd. But before the last pit stop, that's what he radioed in. They couldn't get it to turn. His crew chief, Michael McSwain, said they made major changes last time, and I checked with him a few laps ago, and I got the thumbs up. Ricky's much happier with the car.
Behind Rudd, you've got Jeff Burton, who came with him under Terry Labonte. Jeff is in 10th, started 22nd. And then Terry Labonte. We talked about Terry a little bit earlier in the night, but he continues to hang in there, Marty, on the lead lap.
Yeah, he's falling back to 11th. The car car has been very consistent tonight, Alan, and very good. I just talked to crew chief Gary Behart, and he said the key tonight is that we have to be there at the end. Up front, he's talking about this team may try some strategy with 2 tires on the last stop. Today Burns.
Marty Elliott Sadler's gotten beaten up a little here tonight, but the car continues to run well. He just got by Terry Labonte. A little bit of tow-out problem from all that beating and banging, but generally pretty good. And the reports from Elliott coming on the radio have been very positive.
So Elliott's there now in 11th. Terry Labonte is 12th. Then you've got Jeremy Mayfield, who's in 13th. He started 30th. Unspectacular night for Mayfield, though he has managed to miss the wrecks that have brought out 12 caution flags in this one. Again, Mayfield in 13th, in 12th, no, 13th. I had it right on the lead lap. Next behind Jeremy will be Dave Blaney. Benny started 28th. He's up to 14th.
As he tries to get by the 77 car of Robert Presley, and we see a battle for the lead. Tony Stewart has it.
Finally got the run on him. Caution, trouble on the backstretch. Todd Bodine. Boy, it's been a tough night for the Bodines.
What happened?
That was Todd asking what happened.
See Brett Bodine and Kenny Schrader all racing back to the start-finish line, passing the leader.
Schrader was 2 laps down after that green flag pit stop earlier when he was struggling. I think the pit stop happened while we were waiting a commercial, but he did make the green flag pit stop. Loose tire on that car is what caused Schrader to handle so poorly.
All right, these cars can make it the rest of the way, I would think. So I think we'll see them all on pit road, changing 4 tires and making all the adjustments. Guys, you better get what you want because this might be your last chance.
146 laps to go as they come onto pit lane. Marty.
Tony Stewart tight in the center. They're going to take 1 pound out of the right front, go up on the track bar 1 round. Brake problems are not a problem any longer for Tony Stewart. He wants 1 ice pack in the car. The car very good, especially on the longer runs for Tony Stewart as they put the left side tires on now. Today Burns.
Middle of your screen, Jeff Gordon. Minor adjustment on the car. A Gatorade in the window for him. Kevin Harvick as well, 4 tires, and he gets beat by Tony Stewart right at the line. Let's go to Matt.
Steve Park is already in his pit stop. Says the car is a tick tight. They made a chassis adjustment, 1 round down on the right rear. They can go on the left side. They also gave him a bottle of water and an ice pack. Because remember, he did turn the fans off except for the rear end gear fan because of the voltage meter.
And man, Steve Park, who was running about 4 spots, is going to go all the way back to about 10th place because of that backstretch pit stall.
Taking a beating. When you don't qualify in those top 21 spots here, you are at a disadvantage. So just after Tony Stewart worked and finally got the lead away from Jeff Gordon, Gordon gets it back on the exchange of pit stops. Bill?
Rusty Wallace was in, Allen, took 4 tires, took that pound of air pressure out of the right front that we talked about. He said that's all he wanted. 1 pound out of the right front. Let's see if 1 pound makes that big a difference and gets him to victory lane. Outstanding stop. Let's see if 1 pound makes that big a difference and gets him to victory lane. Outstanding stop for these guys, by the way.
Rusty out in 4th position behind Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Kevin Harvick. You're watching NASCAR on TN. Track opened up back in 1961. It was July 26th of that year when they held the first race here. Track only had 22-degree banking in those days. There's Fireball Roberts, Joe Weatherly, Buck Baker, the stars of the day. They went at it on this half-mile track before a pretty good crowd. 18,000 people were here that day. When the afternoon was done, the race was won by Jack Smith, holding the winner's trophy. The 36-degree banking added in 1969. First night race, 1978. And you look at the results from that very first race here at Bristol. Then Jarrett and Richard Petty. Buddy Baker in there, too. 140 laps to go, and we're back racing here at Bristol. Now Jeff Gordon back in front of Tony Stewart after the exchange of pit stops. Big loser on the pit stop, Steve Park, because of being on that backstretch pit road.
And we got problems. Joe Nemechek in the inside wall hard on the backstretch. Caution flag is out.
14th one of the race. Nemechek 23rd position. By the way, the record for the most caution flags in a race here at Bristol is 20. That has happened on 2 different occasions. So we've got a little mayhem to go if we're going to get that one tonight. I thought we were a shoo-in the way this thing started. First 100 laps of this race, we had 5 cautions and then another 4 more before we got to lap 150. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, Alan, Ken Schrader and the M&M's team have worked so hard this year trying to find racing success. He was having one of his best runs of the season, and you can see why he didn't like this set of tires. It wasn't the tire. It's just unfortunate that these lug nuts had worked their way loose, and you can see they are out of round. That makes the wheel vibrate. That makes you think it's either going down. Obviously, you feel the bad vibration. So unfortunate for them. The Bristol Bug bit Schrader and the M&M's bunch. One of their best runs of the season. This team has worked extremely hard all year, and they will be back. But tonight, they got bit by a bad case of lug nuts there.
And they're 2 laps down in 21st position. Bill, here's what happened to bring out this most recent caution.
Nemechek, Terry Labonte of the 5 car gets in the back of Nemechek off turn 2. Right front, right rear.
And big time damage. So we'll take a break while we're under the caution here at Bristol. 36 laps to go. Wrapping up the 14th caution of the Sharpie 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, Rusty Wallace, and now Bobby Labonte in the top 5. Let's try it again. Ken Schrader doesn't get going.
Dale Jr., the 8 car, tried to get alongside the 36. That didn't work.
Jerry Nadeau has been black flagged. You can't take that with you out onto the track, gang.
That was a tool they had used for chassis adjusters in the back of the 25 car. And Kevin Harvick right now losing serious distance on the front 2.
That's the tough thing about this place here is that if you don't get clear of those lap cars, especially the 2 or 3 on the lower lane right there, it costs you.
There's a battle. Ricky Rudd, Bobby Labonte.
5th place. Dale Jarrett in it also.
So Bobby Labonte, the 18, the green car, surrounded by Robert Yates cars.
Aerial views here in Bristol, courtesy of the United States Army. Army at 1. Bobby Labonte trying to hang on to 6th position. Dale Jarrett pressing him there. There's Elliott Sadler closing in from behind. Sadler running in 8th. And you're not missing anything up front. Jeff Gordon is pulled away from Tony Stewart on this restart.
And Jeff Gordon is running about 2 miles per hour faster on this set of tires than he did the last set of tires.
DJ got the run.
Now can Elliott Sadler follow?
It's Bobby Jeffries talking to Dale Jarrett. Bobby the spotter. Elliott Sadler won from 38th starting spot here in March. First race of the year at Bristol. Tonight he had a much better starting spot, 4th position, but he got caught up in a lot of the early mayhem that happened in this race.
Kevin Harvick, 29. Rusty Wallace, 2. 3rd position at stake.
Jimmy Spencer, slow on the inside of the track.
Boxes and everything. I guess he broke a rod or something. Up the hood. Gee, I can't friggin' believe it.
Man. Ran all night. Lead lap, top 5 to 10 positions.
Said it felt like it broke a connecting rod inside the engine.
That is a Robert Yates power plant in that car. They don't fail often. Well, let's see how good those chassis adjustments Rusty Wallace got on that last pit stop are working out.
He's definitely quicker through the center of the corner. There's no doubt about that.
By the way, Jeff Gordon has taken over from Rusty Wallace for leading the most laps here tonight. And Rusty, oh, big wiggle there. Wow, he really had to get out of the gas to gather that one up.
And look at the distance he lost just by simply backing off the throttle and saving the car.
I think what happened there, it looked like that Rusty was
trouble. Turn 1, Johnny Benson has hit the outside and inside walls hard. Benson and Brett Bodine had been trading sheet metal the last couple of laps around. Johnny's involved in a crash. Flags. 81 of the 383 laps so far have been run behind the pace car. The hits came early, the hits came often. Rick Mast, Ricky Craven, Bill Elliott. And that's the most recent caution. Johnny Benson hitting the wall on the outside first in turn 1 and then the inside wall in between turns 1 and 2. Johnny, as you can see, walking away from the car. Jimmy Spencer's behind the wall, Matt.
Jimmy Spencer's climbed from his car. Jimmy, did that engine give you any indication it was going south?
No, I just broke something. I don't know. I mean, it was an awesome car tonight. I had a bad qualifying. It was my fault, you know, and if we had been on the front straightaway, I really feel like we'd be contender for the win, but we still had a shot at the top 5 without a question. The Kmart guys worked hard all weekend. It's the best car I ever had at Bristol, really, and I really feel bad for my guys, myself, really. I'm very upset. An opportunity to really gain a lot of points tonight. We're trying to get in the top 10 and try to win a race, and just unfortunate, but I like Darlington. We'll be there next week.
A good car tonight, but his 3rd DNF of the season, Alan.
You're looking at Johnny Benson's car as they attempt to get it away from the wall. While they continue the cleanup there, let's go back and show you something that happened on pit road just a minute ago.
Well, it's got fuel spraying out the...
Fuel is just coming out the back of the car.
Right there.
Oh, and he got one of Jerry Nadeau's crewmen, too. What was he doing out there? Well, that's an answer. Car was coming in.
Car was coming in.
Oh, he bounced right up and got back at it. That's good news. 15th caution of the Sharpie 500 is out. Jeff Gordon is the leader. Brett Bodine is on pit road, serving a 2-lap penalty for rough driving. He and Johnny Benson were trading shots, leading to Benson's crash that brought out that last caution.
Dale Jr. getting a little aggressive right now in the 8 Budweiser car. He's past Tony Stewart, trying to get close enough to Jeff Gordon to get by him.
Dale Jr. 19th place right now. First car 1 lap down. Here's Steve Park up on the back of Bobby Labonte for 8th place.
Steve Park restarted in the 11th position.
That was after the pit stops.
After the pit
a
stop.
caution ago.
That's right. So he's on the inside of Bobby Labonte, takes that spot away and moves up to the 8th spot.
Well, Park got a birthday coming up Thursday. all of 34 years old. Good start to the season with Park. Tough stretch through May and June where they couldn't get a finish. Then the last month or so, things have really come around. 4 top 10s in the last 5 weeks. He's moved back up to 11th in points. And this is a race for 6th place between Dale Jarrett in the 88 and the 21 of Elliott Sadler. A little excuse me there from Park on Schrader, huh?
Well, this is the point in the race where you really start losing patience. You know, if you're on the lead lap and you're coming up on cars that are a lap or 2 down, and you're
we've got a car. Ward Burton is spawned down into turn 1.
That's Matt Kenseth.
I'm sorry. Both black and yellow cars.
Yep. Kenseth into the inside wall. And caution number 16 is out.
What do we have to get to? Because we're running out of cars.
20's the record. You got to get to 21 to get the record. It could happen.
Man, this is...
Pit road is closed, so we'll take the break here. Come back, see if any of the front runners come in for new tires. The remains of Matt Kenseth's car being added to the debris heap tonight here at Bristol. And Matt out of the car and walking away, and he's just fine. Here's what happened that brought out caution number 16.
That's not it. This is it. Off the corner. And
he looked like he lost it a little bit getting off of 4. And he was kind of just losing it up the racetrack, and then made a little bit of contact. If you watch the car coming off the bottom of 4, it looks like he was sliding it pretty hard.
Matt Yoakum.
Alan, we've caught up with Johnny Benson. He's walked out of his transporter. Johnny, can you begin to describe how frustrating it is to enter Bristol only 82 points out of 5th and to be knocked out like this?
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, Valvoline Pontiac didn't start off so good. I mean, we didn't qualify good. And in the race, we started off bad, but then we got it decent. James played some good pit strategy and running second. The 11 car took us out. And then, so during the race, I went up and just bumped him a little bit just to move him out of the way a little bit, but I sure as hell didn't wreck him. And then he's got to do this. I mean, it's a new car, just, I don't know. I guess you only get 1 lap penalty for every time you wreck the same guy twice, you know. But it's too bad. I mean, I always thought Brett was a little smarter than that, but I guess it's just Bristol.
In starts of 5 or more here in Bristol, Johnny Benson and Elliott Sadler, the only 2 drivers who have never scored a DNF here at Bristol. Johnny Benson gets one tonight.
Tempers, tempers. We talked about it a few hours ago. They're starting to boil here in Bristol. Back for the restart here in Bristol. 98 laps to go. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, Rusty Wallace, and now Ricky Rudd up to 5th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. did get back on the lead lap coming to that last caution flag. He's last one on the lead lap in 18th place. Most recent caution came out for problems involving Matt Kenseth. Marty's with him.
And the carnage has been prolific. Matt, what happened to you?
We were racing with some lap cars real hard there, and I was trying to follow Dave Blaney up through there, and was underneath Jeff Woodine, and we came out of 4, just ran out of room. I got hit in the right front, just spun me out.
A lot of damage to his car. They will be done for the evening.
We're into the final 100 laps of the Sharpie 500 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. It is NASCAR on TNT from Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee. High bank half mile, 36 degrees of banking. Taller than Daytona these corners are. It produces some wild racing. We've not been disappointed tonight. 16 caution flags have taken their toll on equipment and on tempers in the cockpits, and we're not done yet. Alan Bestwick, Benny Parsons, Wally Dallenbach, and our entire TNT NASCAR crew. Jeff Gordon is out in front now. Rusty Wallace has led a majority of this event along with Gordon. Also Jeff Green, Ricky Craven, Kevin LePage, Steve Park, Ricky Rudd, and Tony Stewart spent time in the lead.
I think right now that the 28 car, Ricky Rudd and Dale Jarrett, might be a little bit faster than Rusty Wallace in the 2 car. But I don't know if they're fast enough, that much faster to be able to pass Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, 8 feet 9.
Check some speeds at the line when they come around.
Well, Jeff Gordon, the quickest car, the 3rd place car, the 2nd quick, and Tony.
The leader on a 40.
This is the race for 4th between Wallace and Rudd. Dale Jarrett just behind. While you watch this, I'll tell you that Mark Martin is back on the track 160 laps down to the leader after he bounced off the turn 4 wall and went behind the wall for repairs. There's a look from Mark's view. Cars out of the race include Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Spencer, Johnny Benson, Ricky Craven, Michael Waltrip, Andy Houston, Rick Mast, Jeff Green, and Buckshot Jones. Todd Bodine is also behind the wall for the moment, though not yet reported out of the race. Ricky Rudd has had his problems through the night tonight, but Dave, he's on a rally now.
He's really bounced back. And 2 pit stops ago, I asked Michael McSwain, his crew chief, how tight the car was. He made his hands far apart like he caught a big fish. I checked with him just a little while ago, and he put his thumb and forefinger together like a pinch of salt. So they've really corrected the tight condition for Ricky tonight.
Ricky racing for the lead back at lap 84 when he got involved in a wreck and had the bumper bar from the back bumper of Mike Wallace's car come through the grill of his car. He had to come down pit road and have that removed. He couldn't keep racing with it like that. Dropped him way back in traffic. Troubles for Ken Schrader, flat left rear. Bill?
Well, we talked about this place being a nightmare, and it continues for Ken Schrader. It started off strong, but has since gone sour. He has a flat left side tire. He'll come in, he'll get left sides, and then he'll go back out. But a flat left side tire, after they had that vibration from the loose wheel earlier, disappointment for these guys.
And that great battle still continues for that 4th, 5th, 6th position. Rusty Wallace, the 28 of Ricky Rudd, 88 of Dale Jarrett.
Now Ricky knows he's going to have to put a little bit of pressure on that 2 car because now he's got the 88 putting pressure on him. So he's going to have to try to make something happen here. And it's hard to do here because Rusty's running the perfect line. So you have to try to force him into a mistake or run him in a little bit harder. And Rusty doesn't usually do that.
There are 212 ways to be a soldier. Find out more at GoArmy.com. Our aerial views of Bristol, courtesy of the United States Army. Rusty led so much of this event. He's already fallen about 2/3 of his straightaway behind Jeff Gordon just since that last restart.
And Elliott Sadler all of a sudden gets pushed up between 3 and 4 and loses the spot to the Steve Park car.
7th place that changed hands.
You know, one thing that hurts you here as a race car driver, we talk about keep your rhythm, keep your rhythm. It's really hard to do at Bristol, probably the hardest of any place, any racetrack that these drivers run. You go around the racetrack by yourself, you get in a comfort zone. You get in that rhythm. As soon as you catch your car and have to start backing off the throttle a little earlier than you were before, have to hit the brakes a little harder, all of a sudden you lose your rhythm. And it's so hard to get it back. Tony Stewart a little bit ago caught Jeff Gordon, and he couldn't pass it, and he lost his rhythm, and he fell back from Jeff Gordon.
Let's mention that Jeffrey Bodine has been on the front stretch pit road. When Ken Schrader slowed down for his flat tire, there was a big traffic jam. Bodine got the fenders knocked in on his front tires. They have made repairs. He's returning to the race. And you had a look at Jerry Nadeau running right behind Steve Park. Nadeau is not on the lead lap. He's 4 laps down. in 22nd place.
You know, another thing, BP, like you were talking about losing your rhythm, it's easy to overdrive the car, especially when you're starting to catch somebody. Like when Stewart was trying to get closer to Jeff, you start trying a little bit harder. And when you start trying a little bit harder, you overdrive the car, and the car slides up the racetrack a little bit more.
74 laps to go in the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. Jeff Gordon in search of the victory. Looking at the new leader of the Sharpie 500. Tony Stewart was, what, 7-8 car lengths behind Jeff Gordon when we went to the commercial break, but all of a sudden, they got in some traffic, and he ran right up to him and by.
It's on the bottom of the racetrack. Jeff Gordon did not really fight him that hard, and he goes by, takes the lead.
So Stewart goes by. Here comes Harvick to try and keep the door open.
Now watch Kevin Harvick. He gets underneath the 24 car, and they come up on a slower car. 24 tries to keep him down low, and Harvick's not having any of it. Little contact there. 29 pretty much drives the 24 up the racetrack and takes the spot.
Man, that was a very, very aggressive move by Kevin Harvick.
So Tony Stewart is out in front for the second time in this race. Remember the last time we got a kind of a long run, and Stewart got up there and took the lead from Gordon, and as soon as he took the lead, Marty, the caution came out, and then Gordon beat him off pit road.
Yeah, Alan, all night long, Tony Stewart's car has been better on the longer runs. That's the case now. While they were chasing Jeff Gordon, he told the team on the radio, I'm waiting for the car to come in. When it comes in, we'll get past Gordon. The guy I'm worried about is Kevin Harvick. Now, Harvick's gotten around Gordon, too, and the man they are worried about is right behind him.
Kevin Harvick won the NASCAR Busch Series race here in Bristol last night in rather aggressive fashion. How about his car tonight, Dave?
We talked about it before. The car comes in later in the run after about 40 laps or so. It's been more than that now for Kevin Harvick, and his crew believes that they are better. Before it used to be we were better than both the cars ahead of us, the 20 and the 24. Now they just have to be better than the 20.
How about that fact?
How about that? And he just might be the first one to do that. Because he is faster than Tony Stewart.
And they both left Gordon. Look at how far Gordon's fallen back already. Wow. So when it went away big.
Yes, it did. Just vanished. And Harvick is getting closer and closer.
Of course, the big thing for Gordon right now, I guess, if you figure you can't win the race, he's still ahead of both Jarrett and Rudd. So it'll be championship ground gained. Right now, Gordon's hoping for a caution.
I don't think it'll do him any good because I don't think he'll pit. I don't think he can afford to pit and go back to 18th or 15th or wherever he would end up.
Well, they've been out there for long enough, though. I don't know how many of those lead lap cars would stop. Might be real interesting to find out if the yellow waves again, that's for sure.
That's right.
Steve Park trying to put some pressure on Dale Jarrett for 6th. Wild one here tonight at Bristol. Next Sunday, 1 week from tomorrow, the Mountain Dew Southern 500 at Darlington on TNT. 12:30 Eastern, our coverage begins. Hope you'll be with us. It's another crazy racetrack for these drivers. Rudd, Jarrett, Park, Bobby Labonte starting to close in on them. And Elliott Sadler.
And I'm telling you, this 29 car, the last time by, he was 1/3 of a second. When I started talking about he was faster, he was about 9/10 of a second. Last time by, he was 4/10. The same this time as they passed that slower car.
And they're coming up on another group of lap cars. Some of them are racing double wide in front of the leader. Let's check speeds at the line.
Close.
Very close.
.50 laps to go. A Surprised Harvick's car hasn't had any heating problems, where that hood is buckled up and the grill caved in from one of those early cautions.
Now, the last couple of laps, Tony Stewart has put a little distance on Kevin Harvick. He's gained about 1/10 of a second. Oops, that time he lost 1/10.
And still Steve Park pressuring Dale Jarrett for 6th place. We talked points a minute ago for Jeff Gordon. Dale Jarrett can ill afford to give up any more positions to Gordon.
DJ does not want the 1 because as soon as he gets underneath him, you know the 18's going with him, so that's 2 spots he's going to lose.
And where DJ's got to be careful not to let the 1 run him into the corner a little bit deeper, because if that happens, he'll slide up the racetrack a little bit, and that's when the 1 car will drive underneath him.
Leaders have caught the lap traffic at the tail end of the field. As you watch Park continue to work, Dale Jarrett over. Matt?
Alan, Steve Park's car starts out tight, but as the run progresses, his car gets better. It comes to him. And about 30 laps ago, Park actually had the fastest car on the racetrack by about 1/10 of a second. But then he caught DJ, and he's been stuck behind the 88 car and held him up.
Harvick pressuring Stewart for the race lead. He got up on him in the lap traffic. They got clear of the traffic for a moment. Stewart got away by a couple of car lengths. Now more traffic ahead. Tony Stewart's rookie season a couple of years ago set the new standard for first-year drivers in NASCAR Winston Cup racing. But Kevin Harvick's in the process of rewriting that book. It took Tony Stewart until his 25th start to get his first NASCAR Winston Cup win. Harvick got his first win in his 3rd start. He's already got 2 wins this year, the second one coming in race number 17 for him.
Those cars go by Bill Elliott.
Bill back in 20th place. He's now 4 laps down to the race leader.
The fact that Bill Elliott was there cost Kevin Harvick 1/10 of a second. He was not able to use that racetrack the way that he needed to.
39 laps to go.
And he is there. He is there.
And you can gain that 10th of a second just as quick when the leader gets into that traffic.
And both those cars driving down to the apron on the bottom of the racetrack. Both of them hanging that left sides down to the asphalt.
Wow, big slip there. Hear the engine rev? 39 laps to go in the Sharpie 500. Which one's going to win, Stewart, Harvick, or Gordon? As we get into the final laps, you see the interval. And we check that on pit road with Marty Snyder.
Well, as much pressure right now is on Tony Stewart. There's equal amount of pressure on his spotter, Mark Robertson, who is desperately working the radio, trying to get cars to let Tony Stewart go by. He is preaching on the radio to Tony, stay on the bottom line. Don't let Harvick get underneath him. Tony trying to stay as low as he can through the corners. That helps his car turn just a little bit. His car continues to get better, but Harvick's car also is getting better at the same time. Can the kid hold off the kid for 27 more laps?
Tony Stewart going to be inducted tomorrow into the Midget Racing Hall of Fame on his stellar efforts in open wheel competition earlier in his career. And I'll tell you, for a guy with a sore left foot who brakes with his left foot at a very physically demanding racetrack, he's done quite well.
Yes, he has. On board with Kevin Harvick because he sees the 20 car. He sees victory just right in front of him. But the problem is he just can't quite catch it.
Going by Todd Bodine, the leader is back on track after time behind the wall. Todd in 33rd place, 94 laps down. Coming up after the race here on TNT, it's the Untouchables. Don't miss it. Coming up next.
And what Tony Spotter is doing, he's going to these guys that he's coming up on. And he's saying, hey, listen, we want to pass you low. So when you see the 20 car get up in your mirror, please move to the high side. And that's a big help when you're racing, because you want to take the line you want to run. And you know the 29 car is coming up behind you. He's running the same line. If you get held up just a little bit, Kevin Harvick is going to be all over the 20 car. So getting a lot of help right now.
Let's go back to that race for 6th place between Jarrett and Park.
Oh, Park had an idea. He was going to dive on the inside of the 88.
And Bobby Labonte also involved in this scrap.
25 cars in there, Jerry Nadeau, but he's 4 laps down, currently in the 21st position.
So Park looks a little faster than Jarrett, but not fast enough to pass, which is a problem here at Bristol. At what point does he run out of patience and put the bumper to it?
I don't think you'll see Steve do that. I think he'll just worry him and keep worrying him, and hopefully Dale will run it, like I said, he'll run that car in a little bit harder and slide up the racetrack.
Oh, he's right on him.
Oh, and he's faster. I think he's much faster than Jarrett.
Jarrett knows, no doubt his spotter Bobby Jeffries has told him, if he lets Park underneath him, Bobby Labonte's coming through as well.
As we watch this, Tony Stewart is now pulled out to about a 2.5 lead on Kevin Harvick.
Behind these drivers, you've got a little gap before you get to 9th place Sterling Marlin and 10th place Elliott Sadler. Other cars on the lead lap, Terry Labonte, Jeremy Mayfield, Ward Burton, who made up 2 laps from a problem earlier. Kevin LePage, solid night, lead lap, 14th place. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is on the lead lap. Jeff Burton and Casey Atwood are the final 2. Atwood in 17th place. Unscheduled pit stop for Dave Blaney a minute ago. Possible flat tire on his car. He is back on track in 18th place, 2 laps down. Well, Jeff Gordon has led 199 of the laps tonight, but right now, Dave, he's a distant 3rd.
And he probably won't get his 5th win here tonight, Alan. Crew Chief Robbie Loomis and Jeff talked when the green flag came out about how the 20 car of Stewart was freer getting into the corner than they were. That's exactly where Tony Stewart passed Jeff for the lead. And now Jeff's car has gone tight, according to Loomis.
So Jeff some 6 seconds behind, 6.8 seconds behind that man, Tony Stewart.
And Tony Stewart, as these laps are winding down, has some heavy traffic in front of him and cars that are on the lead lap. The 19, Casey Atwood right in front of Tony Stewart. And in front of him, Jeff Burton. Casey Atwood on board with him as he looks back at the leader, Tony Stewart. We only have 11 laps to go, but Kevin Harvick can make up a lot of ground in a hurry.
A lot of these cars that Stewart's going to run up on are racing each other for positions on the end of the lead lap, so they can't give him any quarter. They can't give him any room. Too late in the going for them to give up positions. Atwood and Burton racing for a spot at 16th and 17th. Just ahead of them, Dale Jr. and Kevin LePage racing for 14th and 15th.
Tony Stewart that time lost a 1/3 of a second to Kevin Harvick.
We've seen the lead change hands on the last lap here at Bristol before, sometimes in spectacular fashion.
And Harvick is coming.
Don't think that Harvick won't use that front bumper either. He picked up a little bit of a reputation in last night's Busch Series race when he bulled his way through the field. A couple of his fellow drivers less than pleased with his use of the old chrome horn. Will it come into play tonight? Will he get close enough to even have the opportunity?
And will Casey Atwood move out of the way and let Kevin Harvick get by him and up close to Tony Stewart?
5 laps to go for Tony Stewart when he crosses the start-finish line. 5 to go now. Jeff Burton, last car on the lead lap, in 16th place, right in front of it in the 99.
And that car's low.
Right down at the bottom.
4 to go.
Tony Stewart had to get off the throttle as he came off the second corner.
Kevin Harvick trying to close in. He's got to get around the car of Casey Atwood first before he can be any potential threat to Tony Stewart. Atwood gives room. 2 to go. All right, what's it going to be? Is Stewart going to get held up by Jeff Burton? Can Kevin Harvick get to him? Final lap, half mile to go. The white flag is up. Stewart still working Jeff Burton. Here comes Harvick trying to close in. But it's not going to be enough. Tony Stewart gets his 3rd win of 2001. He wins the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. Last lap, change of position. Ricky Rudd gets by Rusty Wallace, and Rusty's obviously not happy at the tactics.
And Dale Jarrett spins down in the corner.
Tempers.
Right to the very end. And the drivers and crew chiefs of those 2 cars have already been called to the big red trailer. How about a win for Tony Stewart, Marty?
Well, congratulations for Greg Zippadelli all around from the crew, and looked like Harvick was catching him for a while, didn't he?
Yeah, we probably had the best car all night on long runs. We had to do some adjustment to try and get it picked up there on the front side, and everything went our way tonight. It was a little nerve-wracking here at Bristol. We've been so close. I think we've been in second here, a little third the year before, but Tony showed up ready to race this weekend. Everybody in Home Depot Pontiac did a great job. I want to say hi to my wife. We're expecting our first baby, hey, and this couldn't be more awesome for Home Depot Pontiac Joe Gibbs Racing.
He's doing a whole lap burnout out there. That's pretty cool. Back to you guys upstairs.
We've gotten into this contest of the burnout things for the race winners, haven't we? We'll hear from Tony Stewart when we come back to Bristol in a minute on TNT.
After an extremely successful night, and this should get a big roar from the fans at Bristol Motor Speedway. Tony Stewart wins at a track where he said before the race he would love to win, and he did. A hug from Greg Zippadelli, handshake from Mike Arning, his PR man, and a cooler full of ice water.
Hey.
Even that can't put out the smoke.
Hey, I can't put out the smoke and I can't put out the fire tonight, babe. This thing was awesome. You know, Greg and the guys, they kept working on it all night, and I was cold. That or I'm just hot tonight, but
well, you were hot. How about that pass for the lead?
I mean, the last 2 runs we were better than Jeff, and Jeff was a lot better than us on the get-go, and you know, he had a good car all night. I don't know what happened there at the end there, but you know, we would struggle a little bit at the beginning of the run, but boy, midway and the end of the run, we were really strong.
How's your left foot?
It hurts. It hurts, but this is going to mask the pain for a while.
This is one you said before the race, Tony, that you really wanted to win. You wanted to win at Bristol, and you won the Bristol night race, and that's extra special.
Well, I mean, I've been wanting to win a race here all my life. I mean, this is my favorite racetrack, and these guys always work hard, and we've always run good here. We just have something that always has come up to keep us from winning. And you know, we had Bob Nardelli from Home Depot here tonight, and he's better start planning some weekends off because he's going racing with us for a while till we lose one.
You've never won a NASCAR Winston Cup race with 500 in it, 500 miles or 500 laps.
Good. Now everybody will get off my back about this 500 lap or mile jump. So it's just awesome to win at Bristol. I mean, it's so hard to win here. There's so many things that have to go right and so many things that can go wrong. And you know, these guys had great pit stops all day, and we just
you know, we just kept fighting and stayed patient all night.
Tony Stewart in victory lane for the first time at Bristol. Marty?
Well, Rusty Wallace, clearly some hot tempers after the race with you and Ricky Rudd. What happened at the end of the race?
I just got racing order in turn 3. I got a little bumper behind and lost a position. That's about it. Just a Bristol racing.
A little retaliation?
No, I just couldn't get stopped.
And Rusty Wallace, very kind with his words, very politically correct. Come home with a 5th place finish, and he is on his way to the Winston Cup truck for a talking to Dave Burns.
After a couple of races where Ricky did not finish well at all, a good rebound tonight. Tell us about the, well, some are calling an incident on the last lap with Rusty.
Well, I'm not really sure. Evidently, Rusty's brakes went out about 3 or 4 laps ago. I was able to catch him, got into him a little bit, and I guess when the race was over, his brakes really didn't work. So they're paid to favor, I guess.
How proud are you of your guys tonight after suffering the problems early on and getting back in this thing for a top 5?
Well, I mean, I just couldn't be happier. You know, you just don't come from dead last at Bristol, and you know, we were leading the race and playing a smart race early on, and one of the lap cars really wanted his lap back bad, and I guess he thought he was clear. He was on the inside, and he came across, 7 car came across, and about took our whole front bumper off. I guess we're lucky they didn't get worse damage, and then, you know, that's about where we ended up, 4th place. We didn't have much more than that. Very lucky to get back to that spot.
This is the kind of finish this team really needed, Alan.
Yeah, Ricky needed something positive to happen. Unfortunately for him, as we look at the finishing results, he still finished behind Jeff Gordon. Tony Stewart, 3rd win of the year. Kevin Harvick came within a position to make it at the Bristol Double. A 1st and a 2nd on the weekend, though. I think I'd take that.
See, 15 cars in the lead lap, Jeff Burton being the last one. Just 2 cars, 1 lap down. Jeremy Mayfield, Casey Atwood.
Good run for Kevin LePage. Much needed for the Kodak team. That 13th place finish. All these guys involved in all the mayhem that happened throughout the night. 16 caution flags for 92 laps. Slowed the Sharpie 500. A lot of guys wound up tonight. Wrecked race cars back in the garage area watching the finish. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more post-race coverage in just a minute. From Thunder Valley, you're watching NASCAR on TNT.